O Show. This is the Big 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 O Show. This
So here's the putting green. See? There you go. Got two flags. One is over there where Cutter's Edge Pro. It's not coming out now. Come on. Come on, wind. Give me a little wind. No, unfortunately. But there you go. And this one says Big O here. There you go. So there's my putting green. It's about, I would say about 25 feet, something like that. I get to practice, have a little fun. See? And then, of course, we got, the bunkers. Got to have the bunkers, man. Got all kinds of bunkers there. You know what I'm saying? So that's a taste of our backyard. There's Maiden right there. Maiden. Bono, how you doing, Bono? Bono. Bono. He's a Carolina dog, by the way. These dogs are amazing. Their temperaments are awesome. But there is the Sylvester Palm, which is just beautiful. All right, call my guys, Will and Mike at Cutter's Edge Pro. They will take care of you. Dogs are not included, okay? Can't include the dogs. Those are mine. But the exceptional work, oh, baby. Oh, baby. Yes. Make your home an oasis. CuttersEdgePro.com. Go to their Instagram page, by the way, so you can see a lot of the before and after work that they do. And it is exceptional, baby. This thing's been on here for about 9 months. No grass growing through it or anything like that. Right, Bono? Huh? Bono!
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Radio Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated. They offer free 30-day storage, full service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com. With more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayom is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayom can help.
Welcome to CaneWear.
New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneWear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at CaneWear.com. CaneWear, the spot Miami fans shop.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slogans, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house! Get out of the house!
Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
The viewpoints, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Good morning, boys and girls. Yes, sir. Welcome aboard wherever you're at in the world. Thank you all for tuning in to another edition on a Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. We are ready to rock and roll. Hope you all are well. We're going to have a good time tonight, boy. We'll be at Revolution Live. Go see my favorite ska band in the world, the Interrupters. So go see Amy Interrupter and the Brothers tonight at Revolution Live. Anybody going to be there tonight? If you are, say hi. We'll be there. We'll have some fun. Looking forward to it. So that's always like one of those concerts. There are certain concerts that just have this this feel good vibe all the time, and the Interrupters are one of those with that kind of vibe all the time. All right, we got a loaded show today, man. Anthony Chang is going to join us in a few minutes at 10:15. Cameron Wolf will stop by at 11. We got Manny Navarro at 11:30. We got Safid Dean at noon. So we are absolutely locked and loaded and ready to go. All kinds of stuff going on. Heat last night. They got it done. Well, they hung on. You know, It's November, bro. I mean, it's hard for me to really get into this stuff or put any weight on it. And, people are freaking out. Yeah, Bam had a triple-double. Nice, all that. Wasn't efficient, by the way, but whatever. 9 of 20. The one thing that I saw in that game, Tyler and Bam have to be much more efficient. The big three for them, they had nice games, right? I mean, overall, Tyler had 22, Bam had 22, and Butler had 28, and they hung on to win. What did they have, 8, 9 turnovers in the fourth quarter? I mean, it was right down to the wire, and AD, really, 9 points yesterday wasn't really a factor in the game. So, not a good Lakers team. It's just I'm watching it, and, I'm watching the Jets game, which I thought the Jets were going to win for sure. I was terrified last night that the Jets defense was going to dominate and turn over Goldilocks a bunch of times and win that game, and they actually won, which is good. What was fun is I put the Jets will win tonight on Twitter, and it's awesome to watch the butthurt Dolphins fans come out, and so they're all coming after me because I'm, what are we going to do? I thought the Jets were going to win last night. I thought the defense was going to dominate. It was funny. So they get all worked up, kind of like Heat fans, worked up about a November 6th game. What does it mean? You know what I mean? It's just you're watching it, but I'm watching the extension of the preseason is what I'm watching in basketball, to be quite honest. LeBron had, 30 points last night. The Reeves kid, who shoots very well, 23 overall. But they hung on at least, and they won 108-107 to 3-4 teams, right? I mean, the Lakers outscored Miami 28-18. I don't know what it is about closing games, but when it comes to the back end of the game, it's just like, you got to hang on to the edge of your seat because the Heat are a disaster at the end of the game. But again, this is early November. So I can't get too high about a stupid game or a performance by somebody, which means absolutely nothing. And I can't get too crazy. Did I get crazy when they were 1-4? What was I telling you? It's too early. You know what I mean? I was telling Ira that. He goes, oh, so I'm not panicked at all at 1-4. I didn't care because there's 82 games, So a triple-double performance in early November against a team that isn't very good in the Lakers doesn't mean shit to me. To be quite honest, it's nice stats for Bam. You want to know what I was actually looking at more in that game, besides the fact that Bam and Tyler have to be much more efficient, especially when we get to the, like March and April and May, when it starts to actually matter, not in November. What I looked at yesterday was Jaquez getting 18 minutes, scoring 9 points on 4 of 7 shooting and a couple of rebounds. Jay Rich, still looking kind of old. Duncan, I so proud of Duncan last year when he was on that bench for a while. And then when he finally came back off that bench and started to play a lot, because he became a more complete player, and last night, the 12 points, the 2 rebounds, the 3 assists, the steal, those are the little things that I got out of that game yesterday, to be quite honest. The other stuff, the test for Bam and Tyler is later on in the year, in the postseason, that kind of stuff. In the end, I still sit there and I say, Bam, Butler, 2 of your 3 players are 2-point players in a 3-point game. I still have a problem with that. You know what I mean? And I know that they overachieve every year under Spo. Everybody that plays under Spo will overachieve. And I guess that's what we got to kind of hold out for and hope that the overachieving continues like they've done for the last 4 years, where they've gone to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of 4 and 2 NBA Finals, things that you and I never really expected. And somehow or another, see, the problem with this team right now is I don't know what we have yet. That's why I didn't panic at 1-4. That's why I'm not going crazy about a silly-ass win over a mediocre Lakers team to make you 3-4 in November 6th. Today is 7th, but yesterday was November 6th. None of this, one way or the other, gets me excited or depressed. Because, I had people reaching out to me at 1-4. Oh, the Heat have problems. Like, dude, it's 82 games. They went from, almost out pretty much against the Bulls to the NBA Finals. So, no, what I would tell you is what I've been telling everybody on Twitter. What happened last night was no big deal, period. And if I want to get anything out of Bam's triple-double, dude, you can't be a big man and shoot 9 of 20. Get the hell out of here, bro. You got to be 14, 15 of 20. That's what I would say to Bam. And Tyler, you got, what was it, 2 of 10 from three-point range? No, dude. No. 8 of 20 overall. I get it. You scored 22 points, but you're not efficient. But, the short-sighted fan just looks at the triple-double and, whatever. I'm going to look at the big picture, at the stuff that's going to make you a better player down the line. And if you're going to be a 2-point player, then you better be efficient as hell. And Bam was not efficient yesterday at 9 of 20. Got to do better than that, man. So, nice win, but just like 1-4 or 3-4, big deal, bro. Big deal is what happened last night. But let's give them a victory cigar. Let's do that. I like it. I like it. I like it. You know who we can also give a victory cigar to? And we're going to talk a little MVP too. Let's go to the Panthers. They defeat Columbus 5-4 in overtime. Bob had 18 saves, did allow his share of goals. Wasn't necessarily Mr. Sharp yesterday. Lomberg, Barkov had goals, but Verhaeghe with the game winner, bro. And, we like talking about an MVP, right? And I tell you all the time about William Quigley and Cutter's Edge Pro. And I always tell you, go to the Instagram page of Cutter's Edge Pro. If you're looking for landscaping for your home, for your business, your HOA complex, you name it, and you want to take it to the next level. And by the way, the value of your property skyrockets also when you add landscaping. That also helps out big time, folks. And let me tell you, if you have, it's getting hotter and hotter every year. What you want to add to your backyard is a lot of trees. You want to add shade, because that's why my dogs love being in the backyard, because we've got that beautiful Sylvester palm that is just laying it out. And they are the MVPs here in South Florida when it comes to landscaping. Carter Verhaeghe, this started 2 years ago when he was the most clutch player, okay, over Barkov, over Huberdeau in the playoffs. He was the guy that showed me cojones 2 years ago. And then last year had a full season and was a monster. And last night again comes up big. Dude, Carter Verhaeghe just does not get enough love for the cojones that guy plays for. Carter Verhaeghe, my Cutter's Edge MVP of the night.
The MVP of the night is brought to you by CuttersEdgePro.com. Servicing HOAs, condominiums, townhomes, commercial properties, corporate parks, and malls throughout South Florida. CuttersEdgePro.com. Providing South Florida MVP performance every day of the year.
Brother, DJ, thank you, my man, for the love on the super chat. Always appreciated. Big time. He's not ready. He's not ready. He's too green still. They don't trust him. That's all. Pretty simple. That you can tell right away. They don't trust him. And that's why he's not out there. That's why when that whole Lillard trade was going on, right? What was I saying? No. I want Jaquez. You trade Jokic. You go trade Jokic. He's too green. give me Jaquez. That guy, I saw him at UCLA. He's already a man, you know. He's ready to go. He's a savvy player already. I love Jaime Jaquez. That was a really good pick by them, man. That kid is going to help out. I like him. That's why, to me, I looked at it all different than last night. Some of you are just looking at it like Joe Fan, And to me, I'm not looking at a game on November 6th with any freaking importance whatsoever. I'm going to look deeper into the game, And Bam and Tyler, you need to be more efficient. Sorry, that's what I get out of that. I don't give a shit about your triple-double. I don't give a shit that you scored 22 points and added 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals, which, I do like the 3 steals from Tyler. But I grade them differently. What I looked at was, the Jaquez stuff, not bad. And I love that Duncan continues to do his thing. This team has yet to develop. That's why you got to stay the course and just, don't get too high, too low about any of the shit that's going on now. Whether they were 1-4 or the stupid little win last night. None of that means anything. Let's watch how the rest of this team develops, how Spo figures out the rotation, how other guys develop from all of this, and then see how they start using them. That's what goes on now means nothing. It's what develops from now for the next 3 months, 4 months, until we get to the meat of the matter of the season, when we get to March and April. And then that's when things start to get, a little nasty, and we'll find out. But right now, what I would tell you is last night was just game 7, and they happen to be 3-4. Big deal. Move on, bro. Don't be freaking out about anything that is no big deal here. Let's see. What else do we have? Brooklyn Rob is number 1 in the house. Steve Chapman is second. Brooklyn Rob says, it took a long time, but I finally beat Chapman. And you beat Jamie Zorrilla, who out in San Jose sometimes is number 1 in the chat board. Angelo De Jesus is in sunny Albuquerque, New Mexico. It is amazing, huh? New Mexico and Arizona. The difference between population and how people move like crazy to Arizona and less people move to New Mexico. It is really like a shocker, And it's one of those things. I saw this the other day. I was reading up on there are states all over the country like Florida and Texas that after the pandemic got a lot of people moving. Arizona's the other one. And you would figure with New Mexico literally next to it, but the Arizona resources and everything that they've done has become way more attractive out of those 2 states. It's interesting. Although I would imagine, Angelo, if you're in Albuquerque, you could look at it as a good thing, right? Because then you're less populated, less traffic, and all that kind of stuff too at the same time. But yeah, I was reading up on that, and it's very interesting how Arizona has done a monster job of luring people. Finn's Rule said, I had an interesting morning. In the last 2 hours, I stepped barefoot in dog shit that was inside the bedroom, set the kitchen on fire cooking, and broke my laptop when I accidentally dropped it. Holy crap, dude. What a day already. Damn, Finn's Rule. I'm sorry, my brother. Damn, we all have those, right? Tough. NorCal is in, says good morning. Puff Puff Give. Omar Lopez in. Mark Santiago in. Can you please talk about how a finesse offense will not make it through December and January? No, but they'll tell you about the Rams. Everybody goes to find the outlier in the stat. We'll get to that because I found that hilarious. How people want to go find the Rams to just like find an outlier to like back your point up, But we'll get to that. We got Anthony Chang ready to go, and our BaptistHealth.net/ortho Miami Heat report.
Heat fans, the fast break is on. It's our Baptist Health of South Florida Heat Report with insider Anthony Chang. From orthopedics, sports medicine, cardiovascular, and even cancer. Get the world-class healthcare your family deserves at BaptistHealth.net. Here's Anthony Chang.
All right. How you feeling, man? You feeling good?
Good, Big O. How are you?
Very good. Ugly hang on yesterday. You know what I mean? It's funny because when I had Iron last week and they were 1-4, and he was like, he was acting all concerned and all that, and he's asking me, "Are you concerned?" I'm like, "No, it's 1-4. There's 82 games.
Right.
How am I going to be worried about 1-4? You know what I mean?" And now they're 3-4. And guess what? I'm doing the same thing. They're all freaking out about the Bam triple-double, and I'm like, it's November 6th. You played a shitty Lakers team. You barely hung on to beat them. They outscored you, what was it?
By 10 in the fourth quarter,
28-18 in the fourth quarter. You had 9 turnovers. You want to know how I looked at this game? Bam, you need to be more efficient offensively. Tyler, you need to be more efficient offensively. And this is what I came away from the game. I like that Jaquez got 18 minutes, very productive 18 minutes. Jay Rich, still looking a little old, but I'm loving that Duncan continues to pick up where he left off last year, that he is more of a complete player. And then the other thing I look at, and this is what I told Ira, I don't know what this team is yet. It's going to – I don't think Spo knows this team yet. I don't think any of us really know the potential of this team yet. So I'm not here to get crazy about a weak-ass win in November 6th, and I'm not going to get depressed about 1-4 or whatever. I got to give this thing time, dude, to find out what the hell we have. So many people are so quick to say they're worse than last year. They might be better than last year, but you got to give, the chef some time to cook with the ingredients. You know what I mean? It's only been 7 games. Once the chef gets 40 games in his belt, then all of a sudden the shit starts turning around in the second half. He always figures it out. But to me, I was just nitpicking little things about the game because those are the little ingredients I need to improve down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think all those points are valid. Look, Caleb Martin isn't even available yet. He barely has played 1 game this season. He's their 4th best player. I think you and I would agree on that, right behind the top 3. The Lakers are missing 4
rotations. He might be your third. Sometimes he might
be the third as far as 2-way guys. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And the Lakers last night were shorthanded. They were missing 4 rotation guys. Anthony Davis barely played in the second half. Again, I'm not discounting the win. You needed to win after losing to Brooklyn the way you did to open the homestand. And with 9 of 10 now on the road, you needed to win these 2 just to set yourself up to be around 500 entering this rough stretch. But yeah, I mean, was it a perfect performance? No. Their offense bogged down again in the fourth quarter. They've been the worst fourth quarter team in the league this season.
What is it, bro? What is it about the fourth quarter right now?
I mean, guys are saying they're playing slower. They need to play fast like they do in the first 3 quarters. I don't think that's it. I think honestly, it's hard to pinpoint because, yes, the Heat opened the fourth quarter with Jimmy and Bam on the bench, which then sometimes that gets the Heat in they start the quarter bad because Bam and Jimmy are on the bench, and it's just Tyler Hero and 4 bench, 4 reserves, and maybe that just carries over through the whole quarter because they start bad and then it just snowballs. But even when Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler are on the court, those final 6 minutes of the game, they just look like a different team. They're turning the ball over, they're taking bad shots. I don't know if it's because now Tyler and Bam are a bigger part of the offense, so they're still trying to feel, a feeling out process with Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler of like who's gonna do what in each possession. Since now Jimmy and Bam and Tyler are taking bigger roles offensively, I don't know if that's it, and maybe it's just like an adjustment process. But it's something they need to figure out because last year we talked about this a lot. Big O, they're one of the best fourth quarter teams. They won so many close games because of their execution late in the clutch. And this year, it's been the opposite. They've built big leads in 3 quarters, and they've had to fight for their lives in the fourth quarter to keep the lead. Luckily for them, the Lakers missed a wide open 3 at the buzzer because if he would hit that 3, you and I would probably be having a very different conversation right now.
We've switched the third quarter for the We don't have a.
We have to come up with a term. We have to come up with a term. Yeah.
Used to have as Heat fans the third quarter.
Yeah.
But now it's the fourth quarter. And I don't know. Well, you guys are on the chat board. Let's go. We had third quarter. What do we name the fourth quarter now that becomes stinkers for the Heat? So the homework is out there for you guys. Name the quarter for the Heat there, because they look like Zach Wilson at quarterback in the fourth quarter. I mean, it wasn't good. But talk to me about Jaquez, bro.
Yeah, he looks good. I mean, he's impressive. Like, I didn't think he would have an immediate role, and you said this, but I give you credit. You said you thought he would. I thought he would get into rotation at some point. He's just smart. He's just solid. He makes the right play. And defensive, I think one of the biggest questions for me was defensively. How is he going to hold up defensively in the NBA? He's been good. They've trusted him to guard Jason Tatum. They've trusted him to guard Anthony Edwards.
Yeah. He's got 4 years, bro.
Yeah, you could tell.
This is the difference when we were younger and you were 4 years with Dean Smith and 4 years with Denny Crum and 4 years with Luke Carnesecca and 4 years with, and so on and so forth. We had all these great college basketball coaches, and then they got you for 4 years. So then by the time you got to the pros, you were much better prepared for the league, at least. And, nowadays, dude, it's like watching, when I talk to NFL scouts, it's impossible for them to scout offensive linemen now because of the way the college game is being played. They can't figure out who can run block nowadays because it's all about pass blocking. That's what they do 90% of the time. Unless you get an Alabama lineman or something like that. I can't imagine what it's like for NBA scouts. I don't know them. So if I was heavily on your side, I would get to know some NBA scouts. But I would imagine scouting European kids and high school kids and 1 year college players.
Yeah.
Impossible, bro. Impossible. But when you see Patrick Ewing for 3 to 4 years in every situation possible, you know who he is already at this point by the time you get him in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? And that's the difference now, that scouting for the NFL in that one position, and I would imagine now in basketball, oh my God, the projection that you're doing, you're nearly setting yourself up for failure because you're guessing almost.
Yeah.
You're guessing. And that's why the Jaquez thing, I felt so good about it. The guy was there for 4 years. His body's developed. His mind's developed. So watch him, and you can see that he can make. What did I say every time when we were talking trade with
trade Jovic, not Jaquez.
Yeah. Don't touch Jaquez. Get rid of Jovic, and look what's going on. Jovic doesn't see the light of day.
No,
because it's too green, dude.
Yeah. No, and you could tell Eric Spoelstra trusts Jaime. Again. Last night he was guarding LeBron for some stretches.
No, dude, that's what I loved about the game. That's what
it's just
that I watched about the game.
Yeah.
So, to me, that's what the game was about last night.
Yeah, no, he's been really impressive. Look, the stat line: 9 points on 7 shots, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Not spectacular, but productive. And his 18 minutes, and it's just
for the
minutes, and also you just watch him play. And he doesn't really make many mistakes. He's always making the right cut, or he's in the right position on defense, and he's forcing a pass, or on the fast break, he's finishing. He's doing a little like okey doke to LeBron to get him, because LeBron wasn't going to get a chase down block, and he kind of hesitated, let LeBron pass him, and went up to finish. Like, that's stuff you don't see from a rookie. But again, like you said, he's 22. He's played 4 years at UCLA. You could tell he was ready to play in the NBA, and that's why the Heat selected him. They need somebody who could make an impact right now, and that's what he's doing.
Right, and Wade, when we got Wade, he was a mature player, dude. All those things. That's the one thing that this is why I don't like college basketball anymore. This is why I only watch University of Miami, because I'm a University of Miami fan, but I barely watch college basketball now because it's just not the same anymore. It's not young men that are more developed, and you get to watch, dude, think about this. You're too young, but when you go back and watch UNLV and Duke for 2 straight years, and they're loaded with NBA players on both sides.
Right.
That's the kind of shit that just doesn't exist anymore in college basketball. You know what I mean? And it just changes the game. And so for me, I kind of had more of a critical eye of looking at ingredients and elements that you're going to need down the line. To me, the moment meant nothing. It was more about certain individuals, going on. I thought Jimmy played a terrific game yesterday.
That was encouraging because we've talked about that, right? Like, Jimmy, is he healthy? Is he engaged? Like, that was his best game of the year by far.
Very efficient.
And he was efficient, 28 points and 15 field goal attempts. That's classic Jimmy. 6 assists, 2 steals, guarded LeBron most of the game. Jimmy looked like Jimmy, and that was encouraging for sure.
Yeah. That was one of those things. People were freaking out that I was like, "Oh, he had a triple-double, bam." Yeah, I know, but he wasn't efficient. You can't. You can't score 20 points on 20 shots and 9 of 20 for a guy that isn't a three-point shooter. You're a lot closer to the basket. You need to be more efficient, my brother.
But he takes a lot of, I don't disagree with you.
Morning efficient because you're like right around the basket.
Yeah, he's not exactly. I was gonna say he's taking a lot of mid-range shots, so it's not like he's getting a lot of dunks and just layups, at the rim. The more impressive thing to me was the 20 rebounds, right? 5 offensive, 15 defensive, 5 offensive rebounds. Yeah, that's big. And then 10 assists. I mean, he's just his passing ability is another layer to this Heat offense that is special. He was playing point guard most of the time last night. And that's hard to guard, especially when it's Anthony Davis playing you, and you get Anthony Davis out of the paint because he has to guard you on the perimeter, and that takes away a rim protector, right? Yeah. So that's important, and that's a skill that I think Bam they probably need to utilize more this season.
When do they send Nikola down?
I don't know if they will. I spoke with Nikola last week, and
there are older players down there. Yeah. They're not all young. There's some guys, in their mid-20s there that you're going to deal with some men in the G League because they can't have them all young there. Why? I don't get it, man.
We'll see if they do send them down. But look, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, those guys develop you could develop while being with the Heat, right? They have a great coaching staff. They have shoot rounds. They have practices. Those guys are always playing 3-on-3 before games, after practices. The developmental guys. Like, there is something to be said about just being around the Heat and being around the coaching staff, and that being enough to develop and that being a beneficial process. So we'll see. I don't know if they're going to send them down. G League training camp starts soon, I think, in the next couple of days. So we'll see if they send them there or maybe after the season starts. But right now,
I'd send them down. Get them playing time, dude.
Yeah, it's just that the Heat are always hurt, right? So you need you kind of need the depth there just in case. Look, Nico started one game just a few games ago. But yes, I don't disagree that maybe it wouldn't be bad for him for a few games to go down there and get some in-game reps and experiment with his skill set and certain things he's learned in the past few months. But we'll see if they do that.
I'm now blanking the number 8 kid. What's his name?
Jamal Cain. Jamal Cain.
Yeah, are you going to bring Cain or Jovic off the bench?
Yeah, I don't know if they'll send Jamal Cain to the G League. I know he's a two-way guy, but I don't think I don't know. My
point is, if I'm going to go to the bench and I need whatever, I'm probably going to go with him over Jovic. Is my point. He's far down the line there. You know what I mean? Because wouldn't you trust Cain more for a defensive play, a rebound, or whatever?
Yeah, it depends what you need, right? It depends what you need. If it's defense or rebound, yes. If it's you need to score points or you need another ball handler on the court or you need another shooter, you probably Jovic. So it kind of depends on what you need. But in certain situations, yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's just I don't know what he, again, you know what? The one thing that I have to say from pure ignorance here is there's a lot of practice time, right. and the guys that are the backups usually are getting extra work with the coaches. And so I'm sure Jovic is getting extra work that he wouldn't be getting anywhere else. So that I know he's getting something out of that.
He's getting a lot before games, even after games. Guys are working out after practice, before, an hour and a half when we're in the locker room for open locker room media availability before games, you see all developmental guys like an hour and a half before tip-off come up in a full sweat. Orlando Robinson, Jamal Cain, Drew Smith, Nikola Jovic, and they had just played 2-on-2, 3-on-3, right? Like I said, these guys are always working behind the scenes. Even though they're not playing in the game, they're working a ton behind the scenes, just trying to stay in shape and just trying to continue to develop.
All right, Memphis is next. What are you working on in the Herald so folks can check you out, my man?
Yeah, I'll have something later today on just trying to diagnose what's going on in the fourth quarter, right? Because yes, like you said, the win was nice and all that, but I think the story continues to be what the heck is going on in the fourth quarter, right? Because yes, they won by 1 point.
Funk of the fourth quarter.
I like that. The effing fourth quarter. How about that?
The effing fourth quarter. You got it. The effing fourth quarter. It's the effing fourth quarter. Yes.
I came up with something. Look at that.
Yeah, you kicked his ass on the chat board because everybody's kind of stumped here.
The effing fourth quarter. We'll see. I mean,
the fork quarter, the faux quarter, the broke quarter, the smoked quarter, the corked quarter, the torched quarter, the poor quarter. That's it. I don't know. No, I like the effing fourth quarter. That's you won, bro. That was good.
See that? I'm efficient.
By the way, you can actually even use that in the Herald.
In my story today, right?
Effing fourth quarter for the Heat, and there's your article.
Yeah. No, I like it, and like you said, I could use it. It passes the test. It's not a vulgar word. We kind of use another way to do it. But yeah, I think that's the story of the game because they won by 1 point. But if they lose, the fourth quarter is the story. If they win, to me, the fourth quarter is still the story. Just because Lakers missed a shot doesn't mean that we can just ignore what happened in that quarter, right?
No,
that's been an issue now for the last 2 weeks.
I was like, you guys gonna lose this?
Yeah,
like, really?
They've been outscored in 6 of the 7 fourth quarters they've played this season.
No, I don't.
And they've given away one of the games against Brooklyn, and then Detroit and the Lakers. They've nearly given those games away. They hung on by 1 point, I think, in both games. So it's an issue they're going to have to solve, especially the next few weeks when they're on the road for most of the month.
Follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chang. Anthony, as always, appreciate you, my brother. Enjoy yourself on this long-ass road trip.
Thanks, Big O. Talk to you soon.
You got it. Be safe out there. Anthony Chang, baby. Baptist Health is the official sports medicine provider for the Miami Heat, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami, CF, FIU, FAU, Orange Bowl, Miami-Dade County Public Schools, Miami Open Tennis, Miami Marathon, and half marathons.
The Baptist Health of South Florida Miami Heat Report with Anthony Chang is brought to you by Baptist Health of South Florida. From orthopedics, sports medicine, cardiovascular, and even cancer. Get the world-class healthcare your family deserves at BaptistHealth.net.
There you go. It's funny, bro. God, those Heat fans were like bent out of shape with the whole Bam comments. It's funny. It's November, folks. Relax. It's a lot of basketball to be played. Don't get too crazy. See, it's funny. The guys that were probably flipping out that I was saying, well, Bam wasn't efficient offensively. Well, you got triple-double. Okay, but he wasn't efficient offensively, and neither was Tyler. And then those are the same people that were freaking out at 1-4. And I'm like, I wasn't worried about 1-4. I have Eric Spoelstra. Why would I be worried about 1-4? You know what I mean? I have the greatest chef in the NBA. Nobody can get a bunch of ingredients and make a better meal than Eric Spoelstra every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So I'm not worried about that. He'll figure that stuff out. I got other things to worry about. And those are the things that I worried about. But you guys out there, you go ahead with your silliness. Let's get to our 3A Graphics sports calendar. And we love Alan Blanco and the great people out there at 3A Graphics. Custom printing and embroidery, folks. I'm telling you, they are amazing. Got a big old warehouse. They can get it done. water bottles or pens or hats or shirts or you name it, man. Anything that you need to get your logo on it, embroidery, whatever it is, you call the folks at 38 Graphics, 786-618-1443. Tell them that Big O sent you, 786-618-1443. Heat defeat the Lakers last night, as we've been talking about, 108-107. They improved to 3-4 tomorrow. They start their road trip. They're in Memphis. Tip will be at 8 o'clock. The Chargers beat the Jets last night, 27-6. Goldilocks Herbert wasn't needed, only 16 of 30 for 136 yards. Zach the MILF Wilson, 33 of 49 for 263 yards. He had more yards than Goldilocks. Neither one threw a touchdown. Panthers defeated Columbus in overtime, 5-4. Verhaeghe with the game winner. Florida improves to 6-4-1. Bob had 18 saves. Wednesday, they're in Washington to take on the Capitals. And the University of Miami last night defeated the New Jersey Institute of Technology. It's funny, seriously. 101-60. They're 1-0. Friday, they've got UCF. Omir had 20 points and 10 rebounds, 4 assists and 3 steals. Poplar had 21 points and 3 rebounds. Canes, they should handle them, so they did. Looking forward to it. It's a pleasure, man, right? Larinaga and Spo. God, our basketball team's in town, and let's not forget at FAU, and let's not forget the Nova Southeastern. They're the only ones that won the title, by the way. So we certainly cannot forget the Sharks in Nova because they're the only champions in town. Got to give them. All the other teams, they either made it to a Final Four, or whatever, and congratulations to all of them, but Nova gets the real love because they won the title. So you got to give them some love. But our basketball teams, FAU, Nova, Miami Heat, the coaching here in this town is at an incredibly elite level, dude. Damn impressive. Really is. The Justin Herbert quarter. He'd always rest players that play international for their country. Nah, Drago, he's just young, bro. That ain't nothing about no international nothing. They started him when they had some injuries. So, no, Jaquez is just a better player right now. Come on, there's some good ones in here. It's all right. The effing fourth quarter is the best one. He crushed it, bro. The poor quarter, the froth quarter, the court quarter, the broke quarter, the smoked quarter, the crapo quarter. The fifth quarter, isn't that what they do with the Dolphins? Don't they call that the fifth quarter? Yes, sir?
Since we had the turd quarter, why don't we have the fart quarter?
Okay. Usually, the egg comes before the chicken, right? Usually the fart comes before the turd, but okay. You might fart after your turd. So, yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's go with the fart corner.
Technically, it's just the beginning of the fart quarter.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. The fart quarter is good, but the effing fourth quarter, because it's kind of like you're pissed that you had another effing fourth quarter, was bad. So I kind of like Anthony's. I really do. Lisa says, still wanting for the media to slam the QB god for that pitiful performance last night. If that was Tua, they would have eviscerated him by now. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, they didn't need Goldilocks yesterday. Goldilocks, you could tell. Brother, I've never seen a guy with more physical talent happier to check down than that guy. Have you ever seen a quarterback that is more happy to check down than Justin Herbert? Like, his eyes leave downfield and come back down with the quickness, dude. It's amazing. What a catch by Keenan Allen yesterday. That was one hell of a catch. That was a nice adjustment on his part. But yeah, they didn't need Goldilocks yesterday. Yeah. Tua would have gotten ripped yesterday for all that. I agree. Chargers safety. Yeah, I saw that asking Aaron Rodgers, and he says back in a couple weeks. Whatever, bro. Your Achilles is not going to be repaired fully, and you're not going to be able to cut and take off, and you're playing behind a bad offensive line, and you're a 40-year-old quarterback. I'm not being cruel on purpose, okay? I'm not trying to be a jerk here, okay? I'm sorry. All you're asking is to get it torn again. And look, I don't care. It's the Jets. You made your bed, bro. You go ahead and lie in it. But that guy's Achilles is not going to be healthy enough to run around and run away from people. And the second he starts to put serious force on that ankle, cutting and trying to avoid a 300-pound man, he's going to shred that Achilles once again because it is not fully healthy. Okay? He can, he can tell me all the pixie dust, and he can say he went into some dark room and threw some black magic on it or whatever, or he called some, Cuban old lady from Hialeah with a little santeria or whatever. You could tell me you did whatever you want to do. I don't believe that Achilles will stay intact if he tries to come back in a couple of weeks to play. I believe, I'm not wishing it on him. I don't wish injury on anybody. I don't like to do that. I just find it impossible that thing is going to hold up. It reminds me of Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill didn't get the knee repaired. He thought it could magically repair on its own. And these things take time. They take the proper treatment for it. And this is at a professional level, not your level and my level. That, for us, it will take a couple of years. For these kind of people, maybe 9 months, 8 months, a year, 3 months down the line. I'm sorry. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think he is hurrying up to get injured again is what is going to happen. Okay? But he wants to make himself the story and all that stuff. I don't think it's a good thing, actually. I really don't, because it ends up putting more pressure on a kid that can't handle it in Zach Wilson. Because you keep showing up like I'm coming back, and you're pressuring them. You got to win to keep me in this game. And in the end, Zach can't. You just watch the guy. Brother, he's as bad as Pat White. He's John Beck. I mean, he is a bad quarterback. Like, there is nothing there, dude, at all. There is no real foresight. There is no vision. There are no anticipatory skills. Nothing. This is a kid that's got a nice arm, and he tries to see man open, then throw ball. Problem is, in the NFL, once you see man open and then you throw ball, defenders then close in. And that just, so many times you're going to fail by doing that. You'll get away with it sometimes when you got a wicked arm, but they're going to catch up to you eventually. They always will. And that guy has no skill set of being a real quarterback when I watch him. He is a pure athlete back there with a nice arm, but he doesn't know what he's doing whatsoever. I mean, he's bad, bro. Bad. Like, there's no hope there at all for that guy. And any of you that bought this guy from the beginning, you fell in love with a workout inside a dome. Shame on you. Shame on you. And a bunch of you, even some of you idiots actually thought he was better than Tua. A guy that's won a national title. Again, go look at that piece, that Tua documentary. The throw he made in that national championship game, 85% of the NFL players can't make it. So it's just, he's bad, bro. He's bad. Jaquez plays how we want Bam to play with that dog in him. Yeah. I want Bam. I'm tired of it already. It's never going to happen. But I need Bam to become a badass offensively and become a 3-point shooter, which he can. If Bam didn't have the skill set, I don't care. Then I can't complain. But Bam has the skill set to be nasty offensively, dude. He just doesn't have the demeanor. Whereas Jaquez, he has that mother effer in him. You can see it. He has dog in him. No doubt about it. Good call. The Heat needs a point guard ASAP. Lowry's playing terrible and Josh Rich is trash. That's what it looks like right now. But we knew the Lowry part. The Richardson, well, what are you going to do? Maybe it's more Drew Smith, bro, than that guy. Maybe you need to develop Drew Smith to be the guy, not this dude. But we'll see. Let's see how, as time goes on. I got to give Spo some time to work with people, and he's so good. Chef Jew says, as a chef Spo is experimenting with the ingredients to make an awesome meal. Relax, everybody. Exactly. I agree with you, sir. Big O, the Jets defense scares me. I know their offense sucks, but a special teams blunder and low-scoring game can be liability. Well, that's what saved the Chargers yesterday early on. They got that special team stuff. I was terrified yesterday that the Jets would win because I thought they would turn over Goldilocks a bunch of times and gain, win on the defense, not on the offense, all on the defense. And they almost did. They almost intercepted him a couple times. There was one that they should have had for sure that he had in his hands and he dropped it. The DB was on the ground, that typical thing that DBs do. They lie on the ground for an extra couple seconds going, how did I drop that? It was literally in my hands. What am I doing? That kind of stuff. The guy gifted it to me and I didn't take it. So that helped them early on because then that puts all the pressure on the Jets offense. And listen, the Dolphins are going to struggle to beat the Jets those two games because that defense is special. I hate the Jets, dude. I can't stand the Jets. I didn't even want to say that they would win yesterday. But that defense, I respect. I respect the hell out of that defense. They got a hell of a defense. So that's going to be a tough nut for Miami to crack. They can do it. But it will not be easy to get those 2 wins against the Jets. And you're right. You make a couple of mistakes, and you open the door for the Jets to stay in the game. Listen, we've all lived this. We watched this with Jason and Zach for years. Shitty offense that could barely score, and Tim Bowens and Jason and Zach and Sam and Pat and all these guys had to be perfect. And you knew that day they had to limit the team to 10, 12 points because if they got to 16 or 17, our offense wasn't going to respond. You and I know this. What the Jets are right now, we have lived that many times over. In fact, that's the best the Dolphins have been the last 30 years, that they only have a defense and an offense that never responds. So, yeah, we've lived this. And that gets old. The defense gets tired of putting its ass out there on the line all the time and losing and all that. And as the season wears on, it wears on them. And they look at the quarterback and they know they have no shot. But I tell you what, Aaron Rodgers' presence puts even more pressure on Zach Wilson. Because it puts more pressure on him to perform because he has to win because he knows deep down inside he's not the answer, and he's trying to keep the team afloat for his idol to take over and carry the team. But he knows that he is failing the team, failing the fan base, failing his idol. I don't think Aaron Rodgers' presence helps at all for Zach Wilson. Because Zach does not have the demeanor to be able to handle that presence there. Tua could handle something like that. Joe Burrow could handle something like that. I don't think you do that to a Justin Herbert or to a guy like Zach Wilson. I don't think you do it to emotional guys. And for me, Zach Wilson, this is not a good move because he's a very unstable quarterback. And you could tell, man, you watch his body language. That doesn't look like a guy that is attacking this and has confidence and swag like Baker Mayfield. You may not believe in him. I don't. Okay? Maybe you do believe in him. But there's one thing that I can never say and you can never say about Baker Mayfield. Does he ever look afraid of any situation? Nope. And if he is, he's never showing it. The guy will always carry himself with swag, and he could throw for 4 interceptions. And he'll still carry himself with confidence because Baker Mayfield has that SOB in him. Now, whether he has the talent to succeed at this level on a consistent basis, which, by the way, he played well this week. Okay, got to give him some credit. He did play well this week. It's just he played CJ Stroud, who's pretty damn special. That young man is awesome. But anyway, that's the difference when certain guys are wired. Zach Wilson does, or Justin Herbert, they never carry themselves like Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield just doesn't give an F. And you like that. You like that because that's how you forget failure. And those are the best athletes in the world. The ones that success and failure gets checked back right away and they move on to the next play. And they're not worried about it and they're not bringing Zach Wilson will bring the luggage from everything that's happened to him into the next play. And, that doesn't fly. Marino could throw 5 interceptions, and on the next drive, he's going to be the same dude, and win the game. Because we saw that many times. Not 5 interceptions, but my point is, you've seen Tua, right? He throws an interception, he comes right back, and he drives down for a touchdown. Those kind of people are different. And to me, Zach Wilson is not wired that way. And I think the Aaron Rodgers thing, but they can't control Aaron Rodgers in that place. You signed him. Now you have to deal with him no matter what it is that he brings to the table. And it's just the way it is. Think about this. He's an anti-vax guy, and the vax guy owns the team. An anti-vax guy his check is being paid by a guy from Johnson & Johnson. The people that make the vaccine. It's funny how he wanted to challenge Travis Kelce to a vaccine conversation, but he doesn't challenge the guy that pays his check. Why not take Woody Johnson on for a vaccine discussion? Tough guy. Anyway. Jets suck, and it's a beautiful thing. That's right, Nico. Let's see. The Jets and Ravens defense is going to be a serious problem. Cowboys are pretty good, too, in that department. I'm not worried about the Bills. You should worry about the Bills because their offense seems to wake up against the Dolphins. So you should worry about them. I don't worry nearly as much about the Ravens or the Cowboys. I worry a hell of a lot. I thought they were 2-12 against the Bills. How are you not worried against them? The Bills own the Dolphins. Miami has beaten the Ravens the last 2 years with Flo and with McDaniel. So I'm not sure, dude, but I think I'd worry more about the Bills than I would the Ravens. Baker Mayfield is a backup in this league. No, he's not. No, he's not. Not in this league. There aren't 32 good ones. You can't find 32 good ones. He's a bad starter in this league. He's the back end. Yeah. Brother, if you start Ryan Tannehill in this league, you start Baker Mayfield. There's a bunch of quarterbacks that are just like Baker Mayfield. If you're going to start Andy Dalton for years and years and years, Baker Mayfield's a starter in this league. If you're starting Daniel Jones in this league, Baker Mayfield's a starter. If you're starting, what's the dude in Atlanta from Cincinnati, Redding or Riddit or whatever his name is? Damn it. What's his name now? I'm brain farting. But if you're starting that buffoon in Atlanta, what's Baker Mayfield? So Baker Mayfield is a starter in this league. Now, you could say he's a bad starter, like, a third of the starters are bad starters in this league. But Baker Mayfield, 100% is a starter in this league. There aren't 32 better because you can't find 15 good quarterbacks. You struggle to find 15 good quarterbacks. So I couldn't disagree with you more, dude. I'm not a Baker Mayfield guy, but in this league, yeah, he starts. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Big O, how did you think the defense did against KC? Excellent. I'm going to get into something after Cameron Wolf on the Dolphins that I want to bring up. Something that something profound that Mike McDaniel said yesterday, and he deserves the credit for it because he's right. What he said yesterday, even coming off a loss, he was right, and we'll get into that. I don't want to get into it right now because we're up against the top of the hour here, and we're about to get Cam Wolf on. Mac Jones, exactly. Yeah, you start Mac Jones, Baker Mayfield, Desmond Ridder. Thank you all out there, the Ridder one. Thank you. You guys are the best. Chris Daughtry says, Big O, Chris from upstate New York hasn't gotten blown out by elite teams and haven't lost to teams we should win against. Elite teams have lost against those teams, so I'm not worried yet. You guys use that same reasoning. Chris, do you do that just to make yourself feel better? Brother, don't mention San Francisco and Cincinnati and Buffalo, teams that actually go into the playoffs every year and go deeper into the playoffs. Some of them even get to the Super Bowl, AFC, NFC championship games. They lose to lesser teams, but they've accomplished a hell of a lot more than Miami ever has. Miami has accomplished nothing for decades, my brother. There's a couple of things that some of you Dolphin fans have to stop doing, okay? Stop comparing yourselves to the Bills. The Bills own the Dolphins, okay? McDermott is 12-2 against Miami. Miami is their bitch. They've gotten to the AFC championship game. Has Miami? No. We have to go back decades. So lately, Miami doesn't do shit. So stop doing that. And then this whole thing, they haven't been a good team. Whoa, we found out that the Rams of, was it 99, right? The greatest show on turf. They didn't beat an elite team and won the Super Bowl. Thanks for finding an outlier. Does it happen? Is it common? Or you just found one in 25 years? Stats can be spun however you want. Desperation out of fans can be spun however you want. And go ahead. If that makes you feel better, you go ahead and feel better that Cincinnati lost to a lesser team. And so then that equals the same thing as Miami. No, it does not. They've been to the Super Bowl. The Bills dominate the division, go to the playoffs every year, and they've even been to the AFC championship game. So when they lose to a lesser team, and I know they look like a disaster right now, I get all of that, but please don't put yourself in the same sentence until you actually start beating Buffalo consistently. I understand that fans, right? Some of you are so fanatical that you can't be objective. And so you need to find something like Chris from upstate New York to make yourselves feel a little better about it. Oh, well, Philly lost to a lesser team. Yeah, but Philly accomplishes a hell of a lot more than Miami ever has the last couple of years. So stop comparing Miami's situation to any of the other teams that are elite and they go deep into the playoffs.
and they constantly go to the playoffs. That's something that the Dolphins don't do. So until our beloved Dolphins start going deep into the playoffs and start winning these games, and remember what I told you, it's not winning one game against the elite, it's winning often against the elite. But I get it. You guys, it's like you need to hang on to something to feel better instead of just dealing with the reality. And the reality is you haven't gotten past that threshold because you're not good enough. Period. End of story. And you don't belong in the same sentence with certain teams until you've earned it. So they haven't earned shit to be next to Buffalo, to be next to Cincinnati, to be next to Philadelphia. Nothing. They haven't earned anything to be in the same sentence with San Francisco. When they start making noise in the playoffs, when they start to dominate their own division and start beating the Bills often, then we can start to feel like now we can compare ourselves. But at this moment, stop doing it because it makes zero sense. You're not in the same plateau. Until Mike McDaniel can coach his way out of those situations, you are not in the same plateau. But if you want to keep lying to yourself, you go ahead. Hour number 1 is done. Cameron Wolf is next.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. We unleash the Wolf Pack as we get the latest in the NFL and the Miami Dolphins with our KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL Network insider Cameron Wolf. KSDT is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370. Here's NFL insider Cameron Wolf.
There he is. How you feeling, baby? Locked and loaded in front of the book stand. Yes,
yes,
sir.
Indeed. My spot. I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. What's your favorite book, or are those just there for pretty?
No, they are not just here to look pretty. I really like this one from Stuart Scott, Every Day I Fight. This was a book he wrote while he was dealing with cancer before he died. And
I just love busting your balls saying that it was there for pretty. You're like, no, it's not there for pretty. I've actually read some of these. Oh, what the hell's wrong with you?
I've read all of them. The Four Agreements is another classic as well. I've read every book up here.
Okay, so By the way, the Stuart Scott one.
Malcolm X. That was another one of my favorites.
Nice. Nice. What did give me a Stuart Scott something from that book that you really liked, because he was such a likable dude, bro, and obviously creative as hell. You know, all his sayings stuck with us forever, and we'll carry them forever.
So 2015, I had to get the date. January 4th, 2015 is when he finished this book, and he had cancer for 8 years before this book came out. And so, like, I think what I took mostly away is like him trying to live his life through this debilitating disease and like not letting it define him. Like, most of us didn't know he had cancer until like the final year of his life. And he meant it that way for a purpose. He went about his job. He did it the way he wanted. And essentially, like, he has that quote that's become famous, like, you know, you beat cancer by the way you live and the manner in which you live, right? And so, like, ultimately, he may, quote unquote, have lost the battle with cancer because he died. But I think the stories he tells throughout kind of shows how he actually won. The legacy he left with his daughters, the legacy he left on people like me who grew up wanting to have the personality, but also be on TV in an area where there's not a lot of us Black folk in those lanes. And so I really enjoyed to hear like his personal journey, his personal influences, and how he felt comfortable being himself in his own shoes in an industry that typically didn't look like him or act like him. And so that gave me a lot of motivation to do my job the way I do my job. And so that was probably my biggest takeaway from this book.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool because he was obviously a dude that was a trendsetter in his own right. And it takes a lot of courage, dude.
Yep.
To carry that around with you as a burden, and you have to overcome it every day and live your life, and nobody knows about it, and you're living with that. It's
absolutely
that takes a lot of bravery, man.
It does. It does.
Man. Let's get into this game. The one thing that you can come away with, if we're gonna put some kind of a positive spin on it, if you give me this defense the rest of the way, man, Mike, figure out your offensive stuff, bro, because you now have the combination. If you could figure out a way to be better offensively in the games that you need to be in, and that defense shows up, you're a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, so it's interesting how this season's gone, right? The first, month and a half, almost 2 months of the season, we're looking at this team as like this offense is elite, the best in the league, and we just need the defense to catch up. Now the defense is caught up, and the offense is going through a little bit of I would just call it a lull. They haven't been bad. They just have kind of maybe dropped to maybe an average offense compared to league best historic numbers, right? And so a lot of the injuries have caught up to them, the pre-snap penalties, the mistakes, and now the offense has to figure it out. But the thing about Fangio, and I know a lot of people were critiquing him early, his scheme, from all the people I talked to, takes time to be able to learn and really buy into. Like, I was talking to guys from week 3, week 4, week 5, and it was still like they're trying to get comfortable doing what they're told, like doing your job in those particular elements. And now it feels like it's clicking. For Bradley Chubb, he said it felt like in the New York game, it clicked for him. And for other guys, it probably was not too long after. And now you're seeing, your Bradley Chubbs, your Christian Wilkins, your Jack Sealers, your Jalen Phillips, your Andrew Van Ginkels, all playing really good on the line. And then you have the back end dudes who are now finally locking it down. Ramsey's there. People not even looking at Ramsey's side of the field. Like, you pull up the numbers, he's not being targeted. 2 games, they're completely avoiding him. And then they're completely avoiding X too, because they know he can pick the ball off. And so you're essentially seeing teams say, hey, where can I beat them? And there's not a lot of options. Maybe in the slot. Cater's, they attacked Cater a few times last week, but ultimately this defense is shaping up to be what they are. They told me at the start of the season they wanted to be, with a top 10 unit. So over the last couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, they've been a top 10 defense for sure. So that's something of optimism. I know a lot of this week has been the narrative of they can't win against good teams. And, I'm sure we're going to talk about that. There's something to that. But if you take some positives going into the break, it's that this defense is starting to feel like it's getting his legs.
Yeah, no, I mean, and unfortunately, that's the burden they have to carry. Those are the facts. You're not stepping up against the better teams. And listen, in the end, this last game here, you were right there, dude, to be quite honest. And really, Tyreek alone lost that game with the fumble, even though I got to blame Smythe also because, God, he's missed way too many blocks this year, by the way. Mm-hmm. Way too many. For being your block tight end, I've seen Smythe screw up blocks way too many, and that was his biggest screw up because it led to the fumble. And then Tua put that bomb right in his hands. That would have led to points too. And you got to make your elite players have to be elite in these kind of games. And he was not elite against his former team. So this was a situation. And then the other things, some of the bad habits from Mike McDaniel continue to rear its ugly head. And these are the things that are kind of burning yourself. He talked about it in the press conference, which I know people may look at it and say, oh, well, he's not giving credit to the other team. But actually, if you look at it, it's them burning themselves consistently overall. And you really can't point the fingers at anybody else, but look in the mirror, and that's what's going on with the Dolphins on offense.
So I tweeted about this a little bit, and it stirred up some thoughts because I said, and I've said this on TV, that the narrative is not as much of a narrative as is truth. Like, you can say all you want about the media is saying this about us, but the reality is they're 0-3 against teams with a winning record. They've lost 6 straight games dating back to last year with teams with a winning record. Now, that doesn't guarantee that they won't win those games in the future, right? Like, Jalen Ramsey went on a rant about how his Rams team lost a lot of games in the regular season. Thank you.
Outlier.
And then it ended up winning the Super Bowl. So there is precedent of teams still surviving through losses to win. But
I don't use an outlier. I don't use an outlier as some kind
but
of
it makes it harder, right? And the reality is it's not just a media narrative. That's why I think that's a convenient thing to say. But I've talked to guys in the locker room who mention it as something that they think about, that they want to be able to get over that hurdle for their own, satisfaction, their own confirming of who they are. And so I think that, the self-inflicted elements are key because they have made these same mistakes, I would say, against worse teams. Like, remember Carolina, they went down 14-0 and they were making mistakes early. They just were so much better than Carolina that they were able to overcome those mistakes. They've had these games where this is truly who they've been. They've had drop passes, they've had penalties, and they just can get away with them against the better teams. They don't regress against these good teams. They just can't get away with as much. And so that's the test as a good team. When you face the better teams, who's going to make the least mistakes? Who's going to make the least turnovers? Who's going to step it up? And the reality is the Dolphins are a good team. We just don't know if they're a great team. And, that's what defines the great teams. I think it's also like a sort of a punishment of being good, so to speak, right? The Dolphins were so good, so explosive that I think they were put into the elite category and considered an elite team before they had shown it yet. And so right now they're being judged as if they are an elite team. If they weren't put in that category, people would say, oh, well, they're 6-3. They lead the AFC East. Like, what's the issue? If you would have told them 6-3 leading the AFC East at the start of the season, they would have been like, sign me up, right? But your bar has risen because of how good Tua, McDaniel, the offense have looked over the first half of the season. And you're like, man, this team is not only a good team, they should be a Super Bowl team. They should be this and that. And so because of these recent losses, I think it probably lowers the bar back down. And that's why you're getting a little bit more critique from the media, and fans don't like it. But when you become the big dog, when you start to have expectations, people start expecting a level of play from you. If you don't live up to the level of play that the expectations were, then you're going to get some dockage. So still a good team. We don't know yet if they are a great team. And that's what I think the point is with the can't beat good teams, good physical teams on the road. That's what shows you're a great team, and they're not there yet.
Talk to me about the offensive line. First of all, what do we know about the Isaiah Wynn injury? Because all we know is long road, but we don't really know what kind of a road are we talking about. Are we talking about a road that
we're talking about? From what I understand, it's
one that he returns,
or from what I understand, it's very unlikely that he plays again this season.
Okay,
so that's what he's referencing. I think McDaniel's trying to be kind to Isaiah Wynn because Isaiah Wynn's probably still trying to fight to come back for a late playoff run type deal. So you don't want to crush a guy's dreams and say, hey, no, forget about rehab, just playing for April, right? You want a guy to push and have a goal in mind. I'm sure Isaiah Wynn, like Jalen Ramsey, is like, hey, they're telling me I'm going to be out, let's say 4 months. That puts me into February. Let me see if I can push it and get back for a playoff run, right? And so it's not out of the realm, but I would say that it's unlikely. And I would say the Dolphins are planning as if they will not have him again this season. They're planning as if their left guard will be some combination of Lester Cotton, Liam Eichenberg, Robert Jones when he's healthy. That'll be one of the three left guard. One of those three will be the left guard for the rest of the season. And so I'm not expecting Isaiah Wynn back. They aren't expecting Isaiah Wynn back. And Wynn is just trying to hope that he can have a miracle. So I think that's his way of saying our group is our group. Don't count on Isaiah Wynn, coming in to save the season.
So Hunt will be back, you think, after the bye week?
Yes, it sounds like nothing official. They'll obviously get him back on the field next week and see how he's feeling. But it sounded like he was trending towards having a chance to play this week if they had a game. And so you give that another week, I'd say that he's got a decent chance of being back. So if that's the case, you would have 4 of your 5 week 1 starters in the offensive line. So probably the healthiest you've been so far this season with Teron, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson, and it would just be that left guard spot that is kind of a revolving door.
I haven't rewatched it. What'd you think? I know that during the game I watched those 2 big runs by Mostert. Eichenberg had key blocks on those.
Yeah,
I can't say overall how he did. Or did you rewatch? What'd you think of Eichenberg at left guard? And then to back up also the Eichenberg thing, at one point or another, I have to give this man a little love because he's been moved around everywhere. And then they wanted him to settle at center, and he actually was getting better at center as he continued to play while Connor was out. And now he stepped in a pinch at left guard. I just want to give the man some credit because his professionalism throughout all of this and through his struggles has been just, from 1 to 10, a 10. I just got to say the way he has handled himself. And I thought he did a serviceable job. I haven't really looked at it completely, but I'm wondering what you thought about Eichenberg overall.
Yeah, I don't think that he was a huge liability, which had been the case in previous weeks. I will say, the Dolphins did a lot to try to help on Chris Jones inside because they know how he can wreck that game. And so there was a lot of predictably double coverages on Chris Jones. And so there was some help, which is fine. Like most teams, even the Eagles give help if they're playing Chris Jones, and they probably have the best offensive line in football. And so it's not a knock. It's just a reality. There was a lot of help.
It's Chris Jones.
It's Chris Jones. It's Chris Jones. It really does not matter who's out there. I don't think there's a single offensive lineman in football that feels great about going one-on-one on Chris Jones all game. It's just not something that people do. And so that would be my take there. But I also think that what the Chiefs did well, and I think it's less of an offensive line issue. I think a lot of times people look at the numbers, and I tweeted out, Tua was pressured 29% of his snaps this past game, most he's had all season. And the natural reaction is, the offensive line stinks. I told you guys the injuries will become too much. And the offensive line didn't have a great game per se. But the biggest thing I noticed when I watched that game and looked at it back was the Chiefs' intentionality to disrupt the receivers in the first 5 yards. They were getting hands on them. They were pushing them off their routes. They were pushing Tyreek around. They were finding ways to disrupt that timing to where they were not able to get to the plays they wanted to get to as smoothly as they wanted. And it forced Tua to hold on to the ball. I don't want to bore you with numbers, but like one of the key stats I saw this week, 16 of Tua's 34 passes, he held the ball for 2.5 seconds or more. And that is the highest share of all season for Tua. He's quickly a guy who's getting the ball out 2.2, 2.3 seconds. Like his time to throw is best in the league. And so he was having a lot of more than 2.5 second plays, which means that he's having to clutch. He's having to go to the second read. He's having to go to the third read.
The Mostert play at the end was a perfect example where you just held it too long, and by the time you threw it to Mostert, it was a dead play, and you didn't make a quick decision at that moment, and that was on him, unfortunately. Get rid of it or something, but you almost there.
And that's the blessing and the curse, right? Because this offense is so excellent when it's rolling, when the timing is right, when everything is fluid, when they're moving, that motion is flowing. People are like, man, how do you stop it? It's impossible. But if you get that timing off, even a nick, it disrupts the flow of the offense. And so that's the adjustment period, because most people don't have the confidence to try to press Tyreek Hill, because it's like, what if I miss? that's the big question. What if I miss? It's over, right? The Chiefs seem to have the confidence of not worrying about what if I miss and what happens if I make. What happens if I do get hands on them? What happens if I do disrupt the timing of the route? And the reason they were able to do that is they have an elite defensive line that they trust to get home. And they've got some dogs at corner. Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed are two of the top young corners in football. And neither of those guys looked afraid of Tyreek Hill. They played a lot of zone coverage, gave Tyreek a lot of help. But they also were really physical with him in the line. And I think that affected the pressures that were on Tua.
The offense on the road is different than at home. And look, for me, whether it's the coach abandoning the run at the end when Mostert was gouging them, dude, I mean, I would not have stopped running until he stopped it, especially with all the time and the timeouts you had.
Right.
You were in the driver's seat at that moment, and to me, that lacked common sense. And he's done that at times where he gets a little too cute. And then it's at the same time, his offense is not nearly as effective on the road than it is at home. So coaching has to improve too. And I know, see, here's the difference, so I can get the Dolphin fans off my ass here. I was not impressed as time went on with Gase or Flo or Philbin or Cam or what. I'm impressed with this guy.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to give up on Mike McDaniel or anything like that. But as a young coach, there's a couple of things that he has to fix. And I understand this too. He's the head coach and the offensive coordinator, which is a bitch for a experienced coach, much less a second-year guy. But this has to end, bro. Your team has to play better. You got to stop having the pre-snap penalties. You got to stop with the inconsistent play calling. You got to stop abandoning the run. You got to have a better offense on the road, whether it's motion or whatever. The communication between the quarterback and the center, this has to be cleaned up. And by the way, I don't even blame the snap that much on Connor, because I've watched Tua catch the low ones and the high ones and complete the pass.
Right.
So the one that's here, you better catch it, bitch. I don't care. That's on Tua. All of it is on Tua. I don't even put an ounce of it on Connor. You got to be awake here. But my point is, it falls all on the coach. If your team can't play clean and if your coach can't call a clean game. So to me, there's a lot of fixing that has to be done inside McDaniel's head.
So I think there's a lot of truth to the road element, which is why it's continues to brought up. Like, I think, and I've tried to talk to some of the coaches about this to get a little bit of insight. So much of their offense is based off feel, timing, right? And so much of it is getting the chemistry of Tyreek Hill is going to do this motion, and it takes him 2.5 seconds to cross the field. Connor snaps the ball in 0.3 seconds, and I'm going to hit him here, right? When you're not able to signal vocally, you have to go to silent counts. People don't really know the feel, the timing as much. And so it just seems off when they're on the road. Everything within the offense just seems to tick off. And I told you just how important that flow is of the offense. And so that's something they need to work on, because I know they've piped in noise some weeks into the facility, but what they are doing clearly is not impacting their ability to not have pre-snap penalties, not have the flow of the offense. And so you don't want to be a whole different team on the road than you are at home. You don't want to say, hey, we can't run these motions because, we just can't, we're not fluid enough communication wise. And so you become a different team. As far as the run game element you were talking about, it's an interesting thing with Mike McDaniel, because last year he talked about struggling to stay committed to the run game and apologizing to the running backs for that. He's been a lot better this year in running the ball as far as frequency. But one thing that does typically happen in game flow for him, if they get jumped on early and teams have success stopping the run in the first quarter, he will typically go away from it. And so that is something that I think teams have put on their scouting report. If we go all out on stopping the run in the first quarter and we have success and our offense gets up, then maybe they become one-dimensional in their own right. And the Dolphins did that for a couple of quarters, and they finally in the fourth quarter started to get back to Raheem Mostert, and he popped off those 2 big runs. But I think it's the mindset thing of, hey, I want to stay committed, but if we struggle, I got Tyreek and Waddle, and that's my best way to score. And so I don't know if I have a huge issue with how McDaniel is calling the games. I just think that he's going through a flow of what's best for his team and the desire.
Hold on, let me stop you there. So what's best for your team is to put Cedric Wilson in a hot read situation where you don't have a lot of time, and the quarterback knows you don't have a lot of time, so he reads that he doesn't have a lot of time, so he throws the hot read, yet that receiver reads different and goes long. Clearly, Cedric Wilson screwed up there. He was not going to throw him under the bus, and neither is the coach. But you got to use Waddle or Tyreek in those kind of situations. This reminds me of, this is consistent, Buffalo last year. You put Brandon Sanders in a situation that he was not ready for, and he cuts off the route, and Tua throws a beautiful bomb that if the kid goes running in stride, he has a touchdown. And you put a youngster that wasn't ready for the situation, and you did the same thing with Cedric Wilson. I get he's becoming a bigger part of the offense, but he hasn't done enough to put him in that situation. To me, that's a bad decision by the coach. He's putting people in positions that they're not ready to succeed and help you out.
So I think the issue is kind of what you mentioned. They have not had a third receiver separate themselves. They tried and thought that Braxton Berrios was going to be that guy early. He has not been able to separate off press coverage and get open. And so Cedric Wilson has sort of taken over his role. They were playing Craycraft early, but then Craycraft got hurt. They were trying to use Eric Ezukama, and then Eric Ezukama got hurt. And so now it's Cedric again. It's like they don't really have that 3.
Oh, they will now. They will now. He'll be back. He'll be back.
Right. River Craycraft's going to be back. And guess who's going to be playing? Guess who's going to know his route? Guess who's going to be exactly where you need him to be? River Craycraft. And so that is why he's on the team. And I think that return is definitely going to help them in that positioning. What River Craycraft may lack in athleticism, he gains in knowing exactly where to be, knowing what the defense presents, and finding the right zones and blocking. He's their best blocking receiver. And so all of those things will increase his reps. And I'm sure in 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about, well, why is River Craycraft getting all the snaps over Chase Claypool and Cedric Wilson and Braxton Berrios? And it's going to be, remember this conversation after the Chiefs game when we were talking about this and that? That's the reality of it. Another thing briefly that I want to mention.
By the way, he's a precise route runner.
Yes, absolutely.
For a precise thrower.
Yes, that's so key. That's so key. It's so key. And one thing briefly here, and I know we probably have to go in a sec for another guest, but I thought McDaniel was pretty transparent talking about how unlucky Jalen Waddle's season's been. He's dealt with injuries all year. He hasn't been 100% for most of the year. You've seen a guy at 75% or worse kind of battle through stuff, whether it be the back, whether it be the knee. He had an oblique early in the season. It's been a little thing by little thing, and you can tell he's not able to have the impact he's normally able to have. And so I think that's impacting the offense as well, because you're not able to lean on Jalen Waddle when teams go heavy on Hill and say we're going to double Hill, we're going to do all this on Hill, Jalen Waddle hasn't been able to have that same explosion, that same impact that he normally does. And so I think that's limited the offense. So McDaniel said we're going to use his bye week.
Armstead's the same shit. You know, Armstead has not gotten injured by just normal injuries that he has. It's all been bad luck that somebody hit him.
Right.
And then how he got his 2 injuries weren't out of his control at all, dude. It had nothing to do with him. It wasn't like he pulled a hammy, like what he normally does. What normally happens to Teron Armstead, he's actually been very lucky in that sense, where he's been completely unlucky. Dude, he gets sideswiped by somebody. Poor guy, dude. Like,
absolutely.
God, I feel bad for him, dude, because
unlucky. Unlucky is a great word.
But it's the facts. He's been unlucky. I feel terrible. I know I got to let you go here, but the Claypool thing, is it that he's a slow learner or what's the deal? Because it's several weeks and I just need you to learn a fade pattern, bro.
I think this is a complex offense to learn. I also think the Dolphins intended his role to be situational. I don't think the thought was ever, hey, Claypool's going to come in and get 75% of our reps. I think the thought was he's going to be a package player who does things in situations, and they're still trying to figure out what's best for him as he learns that offense, right? Because a lot of what they probably want to do with him involves motion, involves him doing assignment-based football. And as we saw, Cedric Wilson's been in this offense for 2 years, and he may still make some mistakes there. And so you want to make sure he's knowing exactly what he's supposed to do, where he's lined up, what he's expected to do. But I do think once this bye week will help. And once he's fully in the offense, I still don't expect him to have this huge playtime jump. I think
although he's not a guy that needs a lot of motion, because he's just going to push the guy aside that's in front of him if he
but he's a fast guy. He's a fast guy. And so I wouldn't be surprised. Like, remember all the stuff they were doing with Eric Ezukama early in the season with some I wouldn't be surprised if eventually he gets some of that, because everybody's expecting the ball to go to a Tyreek Hill when you do that type of motion, or Jalen Waddle. A part of this offense is the misdirection, the confusion. If you get Tyreek or Waddle going one way, and then you can get Claypool going the other, that's a propensity for big plays. And that's how they had a couple of those with Eric Ezukama, because people will just forget about you because you're not Tyreek or Waddle. And so they've been needing those guys, those secondary weapons who don't draw much attention, to step up in those misdirection plays. So having Chang back will help in that respect too, because it's another weapon that you have to worry about. But I do think you'll see Claypool a little bit more in the slot gadget type roles rather than him taking a full-time role as a number 3 receiver.
There you go. Follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolf, and catch his exceptional work as always at the NFL Network. Cam, thank you, sir. We will catch up later on in the week. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. KSDT CPAs, they are hiring, man. Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties, and they've got an office in North Carolina. They can handle your business taxes, year-end planning, payroll, sales taxes. They can do it all for you, state and local taxes, estate and trust. They handle all of that, folks. International taxation. They can help your company if you do all of that. In that area, they can help you also. Make sure you call them at 305-670-3370. They do it all. Personal taxes, business taxes, tax advisory, assurance, and accounting. They are a top 200 firm by Forbes. KSDT CPAs. Use that QR code and reach out to the great people at KSDT CPA.
This has been the KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL insider Cameron Wolf. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
Right. Oh, let's do it, baby. Let's switch gears. CaneWear, by the way, don't forget to use our code BIG010. You will get 10% off 2655 South University Drive in Davie. They got anything and everything practically with a Canes logo on it. And they've got Inter Miami gear. Inter's about to have a friendly. They got the Heat gear. They got the Marlins gear, Dolphins gear. They got it all. Florida Panthers. So get on down there and go see Jeff, go see Brett, go see all the great people out there. They will take care of you at CaneWear. Let's get to our CaneWear Miami Hurricanes report with the one and only Manny Navarro.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. If you're a Miami sports fan, there's only one store to go to, and that's CaneWear, Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at CaneWear.com or InterMiamiWear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. CaneWear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the CaneWear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro, exclusively on a Big O radio show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
All right, Manny. Well, I'm looking here, and the Hard Rock app has kicked in today. I already made my deposit. I have it there. And FSU is heavily favored. What should I do here on the Hard Rock app?
Yeah, it's not looking great for the Hurricanes this week. If I was putting money on this game, I would probably lean heavily on the Seminoles.
Oh God, man! Is this the game where we hide the women and children because this game's going to be like rated R and stuff? And
I think it all depends. I know it's gonna get ugly if FSU is healthy again and they got Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman out there, which I guess we'll find out Saturday because they didn't play in this last game against Pittsburgh. If that's the case, then I would expect it probably not to be a very close game. But if FSU decides, hey, you know what, we don't really need those guys, we could still beat Miami without them, and we're gonna give them an extra week of rest, then maybe it's a little closer. But I think they're gonna play.
All right, your thoughts on the debacle this week against NC State. And by the way, he might be one of the more underrated coaches. While I'm not very happy with Mario's X's and O's,
right?
On the other side, that dude gets the max out of NC State.
Yeah, Dave Doran certainly does. And, lining up his true freshman, the best player on his offense, Concepcion, for direct snaps and just getting the ball in his playmakers' hands to get what little offense they could really generate. Because let's face it, they don't have a very good offense. They win with defense, and it was a perfectly executed game plan from their perspective. Get just enough points to beat Miami and put them in tough spots. And Mario sort of played right into their hands, and the staff played right into their hands in terms of not really making any changes with their passing offense, and we saw the result.
Tyler Van Dyke, I know he didn't make a commitment to starting him or not starting him and all that, but see, here's where I gotta, dude, I'm a Mario guy, By the way, I was hanging out with a bunch of Columbus people yesterday.
Yeah.
Columbus people are ripping Mario.
Yeah. Well, that's the way we operate down here. We don't really ever stand by our guys very long.
That Columbus mafia is pretty strong. That brotherhood is,
yes.
It might be the strongest brotherhood there is in South Florida. Is the Columbus?
Maybe, but listen, those guys aren't happy. They're not happy. There's
a high school that has that kind of a bond in South Florida. It does not exist.
No,
right?
I mean, obviously, no. I
I've never seen it.
I would say maybe some of the inner city schools in some regards, like the old school Central people and Northwestern and stuff like that. But you're right. I mean, it's
all connected in our town, bro.
Right.
One way,
right,
bro. I don't think people realize how many Columbus grads are all over as CEOs and general managers and business owners. A lot of successful people have come out of Columbus. Okay.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Okay. But listening to Columbus people say, well, what is Mario doing? That's
like, wow, bro, that's blasphemy for them. You know what I mean? They're very loyal to each other normally. You know what I mean? But it's just, I the Tyler Van Dyke thing. Dude, if you're a smart coach, okay, he's injured, he's not playing well. So now you served him up in NC State. You're not playing a great team, but you're really going to play a great team the following week. So if you're already contemplating or talking about this, why didn't you play him last week? Whoever it is, Williams or Ja'Cory, which I would imagine it's Williams, the guy you're going to play, but why not kind of use him over the last couple of weeks? It's clear Tyler's not healthy. You're not doing Tyler a service by playing him like this because he's not helping you or your team. I mean, there are so many bad things that Mario does as a coach, is what I'm saying. I know he's a phenomenal human being and leader and mentor and recruiter and all that shit. But when it comes to X's and O's, I don't see a lot of common sense here, man. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of head scratching decisions, right? I mean from not taking a knee.
You
Yeah,
seriously?
yeah.
Come
I
on.
mean it doesn't make a lot of sense to throw the freshman out there, but he did it against Clemson, right? He did it. He kind of had no choice that week, and he said, "All right, you're playing." I think the problem last week was I don't know that they necessarily got Emory Williams ready to play that game. I think they just thought, okay, Tyler's playing, he's going to take the majority of the snaps in practice, and I don't think they're very good at pivoting. Oh, they kind of have their plan, right? And you don't see a whole lot of adjustments. I don't think they're
Yeah.
very good at pivoting. And
He's the guy that stays with Jalen Hurts in the second half and loses the national championship game.
yes,
Instead of Saban saying, I have to do this now. I have
well,
to do
and and,
this.
and
And
Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator, sort of agrees. I think he's a yes man to Mario in a lot of those in a lot of that regard. He said, I
about this, I think this is Dave Wanstead all over again.
mhm,
You bring in Norv Turner,
right,
and Norv will light it up with the Chargers. He'll light it up with Brad Johnson in Washington. But then when you bring him here, keep handing it off. Keep handing it off. I told this
right,
story, bro. And I don't know if you know this story because you know enough people. But when they would cross the 40 in the Dave Wanstead era,
mhm,
in their headsets, all of them would hear, guys, we've crossed the 40. Let's make sure we take care of the football. We're already in field goal range. So it's hard for your coach to be himself when your boss is already telling you, hey, be careful with the football, this, that. So my problem with Mario is we have a guy that's from a spread offense, right? What's that
yeah,
called? Not what
air
do they
raid,
call it?
air raid, air raid,
Air raid. Well, we're not air raiding all the way here. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
maybe that's because I again, you know what I compare him to? Mike Munchak. When
mhm,
you watch Munchak being coached by the Titans, and then the other guy takes over, Mike Vrabel, and it's completely different. Why? Because Munchak stayed with the running game, was conservative, all that kind of stuff. And I kind of see the same thing with Mario. So it doesn't matter who's under him. They're going to then cater to the boss because the
right.
boss does not want to be aggressive.
This is what I heard from Oregon writers out there. They said, listen, Mario's a phenomenal recruiter, but he's going to get himself too involved in the offense, and he's going to want to get into a rock fight every single week instead of letting his offensive coordinators just do their thing. And I think that's a fair criticism. But I would also add that I think this coaching staff, Shannon Dawson in particular, hasn't necessarily veered away from whatever was working before in the passing game, which to me says, okay, well, when the defense makes adjustments, right, which is what teams are doing now. Oh, you watch these games, they're rushing 3 and dropping 8 the majority of the game.
And he can't read. And he
Right,
can't read.
and we know he can't read zone. Why have we not hammered home the point in practice to throw the underneath ball? Why have we not figured out to just
And run.
adjust? Yes,
And run.
and do something different. And to me, I like people are sitting here pointing the finger at Tyler, and he's the guy with the ball in his hands. He's got it. Okay, fine. But I also think as the offensive coordinator, you got to do more. And I don't think that they necessarily have changed any of the routes that they were running earlier in the year. You still see guys running deep routes down the field. And you can sit there with a fine-tooth comb and review every play and say, well, he should have checked down here and he should have checked down there and he could have done this. But I also think they're in his ear saying, no, you got to throw the ball down the field. And he just doesn't feel comfortable doing that. So to me, some way, shape, or form, there has to be a meeting of the minds and say, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going with now. You're not looking down the field well. You're not reading coverage. This is what we're adjusting to. And they haven't done that. And that's on the coaching staff.
Coaching. Yeah, coaching. It's to me, that's the only element that's missing from Mario that I just do not see and do not trust is that you're not a great X's and O's guy, bro.
I will say this. I think when we sit back at the end of the season and whether they finish, I think there's a very good possibility now they could finish 6-6. So because I mean Boston College is playing well.
Yeah, bro.
I very much think there's a chance this team could finish 6-6, depending on what happens here with this offense. If they don't figure it out on offense, I mean, they got Louisville a week from now after Florida State, and they got to play at Boston College their last game in the cold. A Boston College team that is now, I think, 6-3. So that team is getting better, and they've got a really good quarterback. So, but my point to you here is when we sit back and we say, well, what got better? The defense got better, right? And I think the scheme, the one hire that he made that has actually worked out, right? And then obviously you had Mirabal, you upgraded the O-line. So two baby steps.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You've taken two I don't want to call them baby steps. Maybe I should say two big steps forward in two areas.
Big steps. Big steps. But see, here's the problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
This is why it pisses me off that you lose to Georgia Tech and you lose to NC State and you're losing to North Carolina. Even though I know North Carolina has the better quarterback, I can still argue you have the better talent overall. So while the talent got better, the coaching did not from last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my problem there because you can, you can possess a big unit, but if the blood's not rushing, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So you can have all the weapons in the world, bro. I was a Phillies fan. We drafted a guy by the name of Wes Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I want all of you to go look up. In fact, Sean, do me a favor. Philadelphia Phillies, Wes Chamberlain. Look it up for me. Okay? You look at Wes Chamberlain. The body was sculptured. He's like 6'4". Like, you look at him, you go, oh, this guy's going to be a monster. Bat speed, all that. Was a terrible player. So you can look beautiful, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't know how to handle that talent, it's over, bro.
Well, that's the one question I have with Mario, besides the fact can he maximize the talent he's got. I would say the other thing is quarterback, right? Like, can he recruit, whether it's through the transfer portal nowadays or a freshman, bringing in an elite guy. He really didn't do that at Oregon. He didn't recruit an elite quarterback to come in. He got a guy through the transfer portal who helped them win 9 or 10 games. But being an elite team, winning championships.
Who got Herbert?
Well, he didn't recruit Herbert. Herbert was recruited by the previous staff. So,
wow.
So quarterback, yes.
Somebody will tell you the guy they have now is better than Mario.
Right. Correct.
I'm talking about the head coach.
Yeah.
Everybody will tell you that they got a better head coach now than Mario.
Right. And Dan Lanning is a phenomenal recruiter as well as Mario is, and he, X's and O's, the whole thing. But I'll say this, like, to me, again, it goes back to a major thing that you and I have talked about for years. How invested is Miami in upgrading its football program? The only reason any of this is happening is because Mario's here, because the Columbus Mafia is helping pay some of the bills, because we know what a cheap ass school Miami has been over the years. And in college football today, you got to have a spending budget. You got to have an NIL budget, and all those things matter.
Well, he's got more resources than any coach has ever had in the history of the University of Miami.
Yes.
So he has zero excuses, and that's why the Middle Tennessee and the Georgia Tech loss and this NC State loss and these kind of things are enormous black eyes. I have already talked about this the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. If I'm the administration, this is what I'm doing. I'm saying, okay, all right, this guy's phenomenal and everything. Doesn't look like he's a great game day coach, but the program's getting better. The talent's getting better. We've got, what is it, an 8-year deal with this guy, right? 8 or 9? What is
10
it?
10 years.
10. Okay. This is what I say. They're going to wait till like year 5. And by year 5, if he doesn't show that he's a difference maker, I could see them parting ways with him saying, hey, the program's loaded.
We've got all the talent right now. We've got all the facilities, all modernized, everything. Now let's get the guy that is a difference maker as X's and O's. So basically what you did was Renee Latchman, thanks. You took us to this point. Let's go get Jim Leland. You know, hey, Rothstein and Lockery, you took us to this point. Let's go get Pat Riley. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of what Mario is now working his way to over the next couple of years if he does not prove that he's the difference maker in these kind of games on a consistent basis, because you also can't keep him around too long, because then it'll just get stale and then you're going to run out of the recruits also. So I think, and you will have success because you've already won 6 games. If you get back to being physical at the lines and running the ball, which is what he wants to do, you're going to win your share of games overall. But if you're not that difference maker, I could see them after year 5 saying, you know, Mario, thank you, whatever. And then they pay him off. And then they go out and get the X's and O's guy to be the guy. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a possibility. I certainly think the University of Miami's never been the kind of school to just waste money, right? But I think in this point that the endeavor is to make the football program better. And if Mario can't get them there, then I think they probably will at some point pull the plug on it. They're not going to support somebody running the program where it's been, right, which is mediocre. They hired him to win games,
especially when they're spending finally.
Yeah, they hired him to win games, and I think, look, again, all of this to me, when I look at this program from afar and look at it from the big picture, like this is all happening. All of this spending, all of, going out, bringing in Mario, the NIL, all the stuff that's going on is because of Mario, because you had a bunch of people who thought, okay, this is the guy to believe in. This is what's happening. But ultimately, if he fails or doesn't get over the hump, then that's what's going to happen. But I think Mario, the one thing he showed us last year, and the reason I tell people he's better than Al Golden, right? Because some people are like, oh, he's the next Al Golden. He hit the reset button after year 1. Okay, he did. And he fired his coaching staff. He brought in new guys. I think the next step in the evolution of Mario Cristobal is hiring the right offensive coordinator and letting that guy do his thing. And I don't know that we've gotten to the point yet where he has not continued to meddle in that process, right? Let your offensive coordinator do his thing, take a step back, build the team around him, recruit, let those guys handle the thing. He's done it with defense, right? Because obviously this is Lance Guidry's come in here and he's basically run the defense he ran at Marshall, what he ran at other places and had success. So I think that's the next thing. He's already got a great defensive coordinator in my mind, a guy who I think is going to be here for a few years and help this program go forward. But maybe he needs to take a step back and say, I got to let my offensive coordinator do their thing and not meddle with his offense.
Does he get along with all his coaches?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard. I'll put it this way: I haven't heard as much unrest as I did a year ago, where you could hear things behind the scenes of people getting into arguments, fights, things of that nature. So I think for the most part, things are a little bit more peaceful this year in that regard.
Everything kosher with him and Jason Taylor?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jason, I think is, this is his first real year coaching at this level, right? Because being an analyst is a totally different job. Being a high school coach is a totally different job. So, my understanding it is, but who knows what's, if you've heard something, you could share it.
Just saying, just asking.
Okay. All right. Interesting questions. Yeah.
Just ask. What do you got going on in the Athletic so folks can check you out?
Well, I put out this week's Until Saturday newsletter today. They put me in charge of that this week. So I wrote about Michigan. I wrote about USC and all the other things going on around the country. The coordinator change there at USC. Interesting take here because we talk about air raid and Alex Grinch, right, the coordinator for USC who got fired. He talked in an article to Bruce Feldman earlier this year about how running the football helps your defense out a lot, right? When you have an air raid coach that runs the ball. Well, the great Lincoln Riley, who everybody thinks is an unbelievable coach, he's run the ball less and less and less every single year, getting away from it. And coincidentally, the defenses have gotten worse. So I wrote about that. Miami, I had the article on Tyler potentially getting benched for this week. I'll have a podcast I'm recording in a few minutes here with Carlos Ledo. And then tomorrow, Ira Schofel, our friend, he and I are going to do another podcast. Ira, of course, covers FSU for War Chant, and we're going to get together and have a conversation. So, lot to listen to, lot to read on the Athletic website. Make sure you subscribe.
You got it. Send you a little note there at the text. Follow him on Twitter.
I will check it out.
Manny_Navarro. Catch his work there at the Athletic. Manny, as always, appreciate you. We'll catch up later on in the week after FSU.
All right, brother. Take care, man. I'll see you.
There you go. Remember, CaneWear, 2655 South University Drive in Davie. And you can see practically anything and everything with the Canes logo on it. So go check it out, man. CaneWear.com is the website. Remember, if you order over $99, you will get free shipping. And if you use our code BIGO10, you will get 10% off. CaneWear.com.
Welcome to CaneWear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneWear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at CaneWear.com. CaneWear, the spot Miami fans shop.
All right. Let's see what else. We both know at this point a Division I head coach career is not all of a sudden going to learn how to be a game day coach and learn how to have his team prepared week after week at the start. Shit, Lou. Did you have to make so much sense? Damn it. You couldn't have given me like a small in? Just something so I can have a fighting chance? You're right, Lou. It scares me, you know? Plus, he's Cuban. Us Cubans, we're hard-headed people, bro. Ooh, we are stubborn mofos. So, yeah, not a good thing. Not a good thing. Mario is a recruiter first, a coach second. I don't know. I would go recruiter first, hell of a man, a hell of a mentor, a hard worker, and then maybe I'll go coach. He's got a lot of great characteristics. In fact, all of his characteristics are great. The only one I'm not impressed with is game day coaching. I'm just not impressed at all with his decisions. You know, I mean, your quarterback has looked like shit for weeks. Now's when you're going to decide to make a change against FSU? Oh, man, come on. You didn't see him? Like, we know less about football than Mario should know, right? We've watched Van Dyke. He doesn't look like himself for weeks. And you had lesser teams. You could have sneaked in Emery in there and get him some playing time. And, you know, now you're going to throw the kid to the wolves, possibly against FSU. That's practically criminal. Okay. All right. Let's get to Safid Dean and our BaptistHealth.net/ortho Miami Dolphins report.
Let's get the latest from the Aqua and Orange with our Baptist Health of South Florida Miami Dolphins report with USA Today insider Safid Dean. From orthopedics, sports medicine, cardiovascular, and even cancer. Get the world-class healthcare your family deserves at BaptistHealth.net. Here's Safid Dean.
All right. There he is.
What's up, Big O?
Good, man.
Listen, I don't blame Cristobal for saying both quarterbacks this week. I think he knows which one he's going with. He's just not telling FSU. You got to do everything on this rivalry weeks, man. I don't know if that's saying much because there's not much at that QB position either. But
that's not. FSU's like, Bro, start whoever the hell you want, bro. Who cares?
Yeah, it's FSU's offense you got to stop. It's not their defense you're really worried about. It's their offense you got to stop.
Is Tim Kelly coming back? I'm sorry, is Steve Walsh coming back? What do you guys got over there? No.
Sure, you'll take Ja'Cory Harris right now if you could.
Oh God, yeah, the loaf of bread's downfield. Yes. Oh Jesus Christ! It's just Mario. Just wow.
I agree with I
wanted him badly here.
Yeah.
And that puts me in guilty as the Miami guy that wants the Miami guy. You know what I mean? And,
no, for sure. I'm on the same boat.
And I knew he was what's it called? Conservative. That's one thing I saw at Oregon that I did not like. And I even said it when they hired him. I said, what happened to him the last year can't happen here because he got beat by Utah twice.
Yeah.
That's like getting beat by whoever, FSU, Clemson.
No, Utah was good. Utah was good. They won Pac-12 titles.
But my point is, if you're Miami, you can't be getting beat by Utah twice. They're expecting you to beat the Utahs, which is Florida State and Clemson and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
To start winning those kind of games. And you were already established at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good look for you. You know what I mean? I know Utah's good, but
yeah, well, Oregon was kind of already established for him in the way that Miami was a little bit established for him. Justin Herbert was already there when he took over from Willie Taggart. Right. And then when you look at Miami here, there was Tyler Van Dyke, and he had a really great second season. And just, I don't know, the kid's been hurt. I don't really know what's going on there. I haven't watched enough football to really see how he's played and performed. But yeah, Mario has always been a conservative coach. He's an O-line coach. He's don't turn the ball over and let's rely on our defense, low score, things like that. If you have a high-powered offense, Mario's probably he's not playing that high-powered offense. He's not trying to run up the score. He's trying to make sure to limit mistakes and things like that. So he's going to always be who he is, I think. And I think just him saying both quarterbacks this week, or like you said, sneaking one in or something like that, another game. I think Van Dyke has probably shown he's the number one quarterback on that team, and they have to kind of roll with him. And it's been a struggle.
All right, let's get to some Dolphins talk. Waddle has had the worst luck this year. Poor guy's been dealing with all kinds of injuries. But I will say this about the kid, and he's proven it since he came out of college that he had that ankle surgery and everything. He's a tough son of a bitch. He fights through every banged up bruise that he has and injury and all that. With the bye week, I still expect him to play, the following week, no matter what. So what are you hearing from Waddle? Because I really feel bad for the kid because he's had a really rough go this year.
Yeah, I do too, man. Jalen Waddle's probably one of my favorite kids in the locker room. One of my favorite players in the NFL. I love what he's about. You saw when he was in college, he had an ankle injury, came back and played in the title game for him, and he was a shell of himself. But him just suiting up to play told you everything you needed to know about that kid, right? Yep. Mike McDaniel said today that Waddle was very adamant about going back in the game, told him he wanted the ball. That's why they called that end-around play for him when he got back in. And then when you go back and look at the Chiefs game, obviously Waddle going down on the first drive killed everything for them, momentum-wise. That first Mostert play was shut down. Waddle had to come out the game. Then it kind of unraveled a little bit because you were trying to go with your opening game script and your second best player on offense is not there, right? So, the Dolphins have to make their adjustments. Mike has to make his adjustments as well. When teams stop the run, you got to go past heavy. Mike has really gotten into the philosophy, like he said earlier this year, and you and I talked about. They want to run more. They want to establish a run more so they can pass more. And it's hard to do that when you can't get the run off. But Tua is also, you don't mind if he throws 35 to 40 passes a game. Ideally, you don't want it. But if the run game's not there, you got to go to Tua throwing it early and see what you got there. It was just kind of a poor opening adjustment. Mike probably needed to force it a little bit. And, they were down 21-0 at the halftime.
Has Mike not done a good job of figuring out a way to use Claypool? Because one of the things I talked about in the pregame was to use Cedric Wilson or Claypool against McDuffie because he's 5'10", and they ended up using Cedric in the touchdown. But Claypool's been, and I have a hard time believing that you can't teach him a fade pattern or two or something. A simple route or two in a play that you can have a package or two for him.
Yeah.
You don't have to give him the whole damn playbook, but give him a couple plays to get that big body in there, man. And he's had one reception so far. Is it on Claypool or what is it?
No, well, I think you might be. We've spoken about Claypool a lot since he's got here, you and I, and more than we needed to, more than we should, I think, because I don't think he's not coming here to make an impact like that, where you're looking for him a little bit more. They got the kid because he was a low buy, high, low cost, high reward, maybe kind of thing, right? But he's not in here to be a game changer. He's not in here to go and kind of do anything a little bit more extra than what you're kind of hoping for or getting for him. He's a big body. Yeah, he's a big body. He has a nice skill set, but he's also flamed out in his past two spots. This is a different opportunity for him. We've seen how much Tua and Tyreek have learned, gotten, and improved after learning this offense for 2 seasons already. This kid is barely here for a month already. So the plays that you see him have right now, that's what he's learned. That's what he's been, that's what they whipped up for him. It's not a fade route. He's happened to be in the middle of the field. He's blocking for people, making good blocks. Had one catch, yes, but he's not an every snap player for you right now. So he's not a factor. I think the Dolphins have a lot more other issues or other things I have to worry about than trying to get Chase Claypool into the mix because they already have their star receivers. It's getting guys healthy and having everybody across the board healthy as well too.
Yeah, no, it's I just kind of find it weird that you can't find some kind of spot for him. Did you rewatch the film and watch Eichenberg?
I didn't watch the film all the way. I saw some highlights, but Eichenberg looked good. Obviously, that's what you wanted to see from a player who has gotten some reps already, right? This is what happens when you start him during those cupcake games and he's playing at center, and now he doesn't have to hike the ball. He can just worry about being a guard. Which is great too. Look, the Dolphins have done a really good job developing this O-line right now. It doesn't feel like you just have 3 guys where it felt like that in the past, right? Or maybe even just 2. For me, it was just Armstead and Hunt on the O-line, and then you kind of worried about Connor, or you're hoping for somebody else. Austin Jackson has come about. Isaiah Wynn was a great revelation for you before you got hurt. You have depth at guard with Eichenberg, Cotton. Rob Jones is going to come back from his knee injury later on this season. The depth that you have there, you actually have some players there. You actually have a scheme that kind of works, for them to kind of be successful too. So it's a new day for the O-line for sure, Big O. It's, these guys are in better shape than they were. And, you're happy to see that Armstead came out of the game clean. They have a bye week, and then they have a stretch for the rest of the season, man.
I was telling Cam that Armstead's deal this year, strangely, he's not getting injured. He's got bad luck that people are injuring him. Actually, seriously, like we're so used to him pulling a hammy, twisting an ankle or whatever.
Yeah, he's just getting rolled up on, right?
Yeah, dude. Like not only has he had bad luck with his body, but this year it's been about shit that he can't even control, man. So
yeah,
I kind
definitely.
of for him in a sense, because think about it. If he doesn't have those 2 incidents, maybe the guy's played like 8 straight 9 games. You're like, holy shit, this guy's played a lot of games straight this year. But bad luck has kind of, put them in this position overall. When you look at the Connor Williams thing, I thought he played a really good game. The one snap, I got to tell you something, dude. I don't blame it at all on Connor. You know why? I've seen Tua handle the ones on the floor and the ones over his head, and he catches them all, and he completes the pass after. And so I got to blame Tua for that one. Kid, you got to be ready, bro. All of them are not going to be right at your center. If there's one a little off to the right, well, catch it, dude. You got to be alert. You got to be awake, and you got to catch that ball. To me, I actually blame Tua more for that one than anything else. Connor had some awesome blocks in that game, dude.
Yeah. If you rewatch that game and rewatch, the kind of highlights of Tua's big throws in that game, that snap at the end of the game was probably Tua's only mistake. right? And it just cost them. From kind of the clip that Omar posted, the overhead clip, it looked like they were lined up on the same hash mark, right? But it just kind of felt like Tua was maybe like a little bit, off to the left, a little bit, not to the right. Tua was also looking at his right, so he was trying to set something up. And then the snap came, right before he could see it. He saw it passing him, but he didn't see it in front of him. And like you said, yeah, it was just, they were just 1 second off. They were just 1 second off.
You're the quarterback. You're the one calling it. So he's snapping on your call. So you need to be ready.
The Dolphins were also doing kind of silent count things. There was the right guard. The right guard was signaling to the center to snap. So all of that got sped up by like 1-2 seconds maybe. And then there was a motion on the right side where Waddle came inside and Waddle went up the seam. He was wide open for a touchdown. They would have tied the game. Yeah. If they got the snap off, Tua saw the field wide open. He's throwing the Waddle. Throwing into Waddle, and they're tying the game. And I think it's kind of a situation where you get a pick, but you don't catch the ball, and you're already scoring the touchdown, but you don't have the ball. It felt a little bit like that. It was just 1 second too early. The snap was for Tua. They would have scored, and who knows if they would have went for 2 or not. That's a conversation for another day because it wouldn't have happened. Who knows? But the Dolphins are, for all the things that we have said negatively about them, about not winning big games, this and that, they're true. Yeah, they do need to perform better against better teams. But I mean, when you look at it, Big O, they're in great spot right now. You're not worried about your quarterback. You're not worried about your defense. You're not worried about your star players being injured. You got multiple people coming back for the second half of the year. I'd rather have Tehran, Armstead, and A-Chain for November, December, January, February than I'd rather have them September, October. You're first in the division. The Bills lost again when you took a loss. You still have the lead in the division. You're a division leader. You're 6-3 right now. I don't remember the last time the Dolphins led a division, to be honest with you. So you're 6-3 going into a bye week. You're going to get bodies back. You know how you have to perform against better teams, and all that traveling crap. All the traveling crap is over too. Your defense came around. Your defense is completely turned around, right? So you're going to get better that way, and then the traveling is done. The traveling's done. You're not going to LA no more. There's no Germany trip, anything like that. If it come playoff time, the furthest west you're probably going to go is Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
Vegas is coming here. You're going up to Washington. That's a tough game. And then when you play Baltimore in the season finale, that's a playoff game. That's not a season finale. That's a playoff game. That's seeding implications right there. You're hoping that they win enough games so it doesn't come to a point where, maybe you're kind of playing into the playoffs, stuff like that. But the Baltimore game, that's an elimination game, or that's a game, pretty much that you're setting yourself up for to see if you're going to have a higher seed than Baltimore and if you're not going to have a higher seed than them. And who knows where the Bills and the Bengals end up too.
I don't worry about Baltimore anymore. Since you have a real quarterback now, you can beat Baltimore.
It's a different season, man.
Baltimore used to be able to punch Miami in the mouth. Now they don't. Now the last 2 years they haven't been able to do that anymore. And that's look, dude. I don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. This is a regular season offense that's really difficult to prepare for.
Yeah,
and it shut down every time in the playoffs because it's one dimensional. Because it runs. And the guy that plays the quarterback position cannot sit back there permanently and beat you with his arm.
No, you got to watch Lamar more, man. He's definitely changed.
Regular season, dude, I watch it all the time. It's medial pass.
Lamar is probably the best he's been, man. He's throwing a lot better than that. That stereotype is overkilled.
The passes aren't that difficult that he's throwing. He's actually designing it perfect for him. It's not really that difficult, bro. He's not throwing the kind of shit that Tua throws in multiple windows and traffic.
That's accurate.
I know. I watch it. I know exactly.
That's accurate, but I don't think he's far off. He's improved as a passer the last couple of years.
Yeah, you're falling for the regular season stuff once again. When we get to the playoffs, he will piss in his pants like he always does. He has to face a real quarterback on the other side.
Let's see.
Whatever it is. But my bottom line is I'm not really worried that much about Baltimore or Dallas. Believe it or not, as much as a disaster as Buffalo is, that's the one I worry about because they seem to get up for Miami.
Yeah, they always get up for Miami.
And I don't think they're that good, actually. I really don't think they're that good, but somehow, and they prove it every week that they're not that good. But it's like, brother, when they face Miami, and that's a monster. That's a psychological monster that Miami has to overcome. They're 2-12 under
Yeah.
McDermott. You got to change that shit, bro.
Yeah, that's the last game of the season. That's everything that you need right there. Motivation that we're talking about here. The last 2 weeks, 3 weeks are elimination games for the Dolphins. Essentially, if they go into it with that mindset, they'll be good. Buffalo, when you play them, it's got to be a defense game. Defense has to show up, and Tua has to show up as well too. Tua really cooked as well in the Chiefs game. They were kind of just off sync that whole first half, but they ran out of time against the Chiefs pretty much, and they shouldn't have been as behind in the 8 ball as they were. The play to Tyreek is kind of unique to me because typically Tua's,
should have caught it.
Yeah, and then typically Tua, when he sees defenders coming towards a player and he has to throw, he usually throws it in the dirt, kills the play so that the players don't get lit up, things like that. And it was just like Tyreek is probably the only player you don't want to do that to because no matter when he gets the ball, you want him to see what he can do with it. And it was just a complete ultimate fail.
The Durham Smythe play.
No, I'm talking about the play before the half. Tyreek fumbled and they returned it.
The fumble.
Yeah,
that's the Durham Smythe play.
What's his Durham Smythe play?
Bro, who
caught it?
Who do you think was in charge of blocking Trent McDuffie?
Oh, yeah.
I'm tired of watching Durham Smythe miss blocks, bro.
Mm-hmm. Well, who's next? You want Julian Hill out there? You want Claypool? That's where Claypool comes in.
Well, dude. Durham Smythe, your one job is to block.
Yeah.
Whenever you
one
catch
block he missed.
Let me explain something about Durham Smythe. Buddy, when you catch a pass, and I'm talking to Durham out there, it's a bonus. Okay? If you don't catch it, we're kind of, we're not really shocked, actually. But if you can't block, then I don't know what you're doing in the NFL. And if you can't block a 5'10 guy, I don't know what you're doing in the NFL. I can't help you. So I blame Tyreek for the fumble.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the best play call by McDaniel, and it wasn't a great decision by Tua in the end. I get all of that. But Durham Smythe was a disaster on that play. That was a guy who was half your size, and you couldn't control him and keep him away from Tyreek so you can give Tyreek a little space to do his thing. Durham Smythe, bro. Go watch that play. That's all.
I'll watch that play again, yeah.
That's the Durham Smythe play. But the bomb, he should have caught.
Yeah, that play, he got jammed up at the line. He should have got it. They should have called a hands to the face for him. I mean, Tyreek should be getting hands to the face calls every week because he's shorter than the guys that he's going up against.
Yeah.
But that was just that it kept him 1 second away from that play. So look, we're talking about a second here, a second there for the Dolphins, and who knows if they could have won. You're really hoping that they take this bye week, they enjoy it, they relax, they do what they got to do, they recover, and when the second half of the season starts, they don't let those little inches come up and bite them in the butt. You're hoping to beat the better teams. You got Vegas coming up here, in the first game coming back here. Can't take them lightly because of everything they have going on right now too. So, it's about the Dolphins to see how far they can go up with this record, how high of a seed they can get, what's the playoff matchup, and who stays healthy. You got to stay healthy for the rest of the year too. You're halfway done, man.
What do you got going on in USA Today so they can check you out, my friends?
Yeah, definitely. It's a football podcast. It's dropping later today. My colleague Tyler Dragon and I, we're going to recap where everything stands in the AFC right now. Look back at how the Eagles are kind of doing really well. Look back at the week that was in the NFL last week. I'll also be at Lionel Messi's friendly with Inter Miami on Friday night. They're playing New York City FC to celebrate his award and get one more match in before he goes with Argentina later on this month. So
a quick money grab.
Hey, I don't think NYC bothers it too, because that was one of the teams that he went to go visit and played in, so quick money grab, not bad.
It's a friendly, everybody makes a little extra cash.
Yeah, Apple TV, you can watch it on TV too,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's a smart money grab on their part because a lot of people don't get to see Messi. Most people won't be able to even buy tickets during the regular season. So you get to watch a friendly. You get to see. I think it's pretty cool. But
maybe you and I might be spoiled that he's been here since July. But every time you can go watch Lionel Messi play, as a soccer fan or anybody, it feels like a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Exactly.
When it comes to sporting opportunities, kind of like LeBron playing last night. once in a lifetime for you. You're going to see him to play again like that. So take advantage, spend your money. It's expensive, but you'll always have that memory.
Great point. Great point. All right, my brother. Appreciate you as always. We'll catch up later on in the week on Friday, my friend. Thank you.
Will do. Talk to you, Big O.
You got it. Folks, you don't need to be a professional athlete to go where the pros go. That's right. The doctors at Baptist Health Orthopedic Care can see you now. Use that QR code. That's right there. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho to request an appointment to get yourself back in the game. If you have an injury that's keeping you from doing what you love, take charge of your health and get back into the game with the help of the all-pro staff at Baptist Health Orthopedic Care.
The Baptist Health of South Florida Miami Dolphins report with insider Safid Dean is brought to you by Baptist Health of South Florida. From orthopedics, sports medicine, cardiovascular, and even cancer. Get the world-class healthcare your family deserves at baptisthealth.net.
There we go. What do we got here? Let's see if the freshman can play. If he's going to make it in college football, you have to survive being thrown to the wolves. Yeah, those are wolves with rabies. You're going up against FSU. I feel bad. Canes Dolphins says, Big O, I completely agree. Mario Cristobal needs to experiment with the younger guys to see what we have. Let's see. Lou, I also wanted Mario, but he's not the guy. Does this mean we have to continue looking like a effing high school each week? Yeah, you're going to have to for a few years. And hopefully he figures it out. But if he doesn't, like I said, it's like they'll wait till like year 5 to get rid of him. Yeah. Let's see what else. Excuse trains coming through, says Cap for Life. I don't know what that is. David, do you still have a negative take on Jalen Hurts? David, if you don't listen to the show every day, I can't help you, my brother. I'm not here to repeat a whole bunch of stuff. I've talked about Jalen Hurts many, many times. Some of you out there that just watch segments, you're missing a lot of stuff in between. So can't help you, my brother. You can go back and listen. I've explained it many times. I'm certainly not repeating it. Let's see. Can't beat any of those teams because they're over 500. And Ravens, they beat the Ravens all the time now. They beat the Ravens twice. They beat them even with you're again, Dean. You're falling for the same shit. You're falling for the Ravens again. Everybody follow. So many of you fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Oh no, it's different now. No, it's not any different, bro. It's the same guy. Nothing's changed. But that's all right. Safid Dean is on crack if he thinks Armstead is going to be available in December, January, and February. I don't know. You never know. First of all, will the Dolphins be available in February? I hope so. But right now, they're not playing like that. John Rouse is in the house. Talk about bad officiating. High school teams awarded TDs after being tackled at the 5-yard line. LOL. Ashland High School, whatever that is. Really? Wow. Did you see what they're doing with, and I'm going to tell you, I got a Dolphin thing I got to get off my chest. Did you see what they're doing with the Simpsons, Sean? Wow. Like, you know that Homer always chokes Bart, right? Can you go on my Twitter feed and pull it up, please? Okay, so people can see it. So the Simpsons now are going to eliminate the choking because it doesn't set an example and all that stuff and our soft-ass society. So let me ask you something, okay? Just out of curiosity. Did you grab an Acme anvil and drop it on your friend from your roof when he was walking by? Huh? Like the Wile E. Coyote was doing to the Roadrunner or something? I'm just wondering. Did you reverse the shotgun on what was it? I'm wabbit hunting, and then the Bugs Bunny does it to him, whatever the guy's name is. Did you do that to your buddy? Did you reverse the shotgun on them? It's a cartoon. How stupid are your kids? I wasn't spinning webs from tree to tree. I knew I couldn't do that. I'm not a Spider-Man. I knew I couldn't go up, up, and away. There it is. They're actually going to not allow that because that's his form of affection sometimes. So are we worried that people in society are literally going to do this? That's how stupid we are nowadays? Because, man, our cartoons, they were bombarding each other with, do you know what Tom and Jerry used to do to each other all the time? I mean, come on, dude. How stupid are your kids? My daughter's a grown-up already, but I don't even think when she was 12 she was going to drop an anvil on somebody. Wow. This is our society is so pathetic that that's the kind of crap that goes on. Elmer Fudd. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. It really is just a weak-ass nation, dude. It really is. So Mike McDaniel yesterday said something that it might seem like it makes no sense in over the surface because, you know, you lose to the Chiefs, right? And losing to the Eagles and losing to the Bills and you're losing to the really good teams. But he said something that may not jive well with some fans because you're in a bad mood like all of us were losing to the Chiefs. But yesterday he said something that was 100% on target. But at the same time, it puts heat on him. And at the podium yesterday, he said, I know that we're a better team coming back from Germany than we were going to Germany. And he's 1,000% right. Because the way the defense performed, they had not performed like that all year. Okay, you got your healthy corners that allowed you to do more. You ended up shutting down Travis Kelce, one of the best weapons in the NFL, one of the most unstoppable weapons in the NFL, and you stopped his ass. You shut him down. And your defense did everything to win that game. Tyreek Hill lost that game because the defense only gave up 14 points. Offense scored 14 points. The difference was Tyreek's fumble. That's really what lost this game. And Tyreek not catching that bomb that was put right in his hands would have led to more points, which might have been the win for the Miami Dolphins. And that's where Mike McDaniel is 1,000% right. Because this defense was already turning the corner with the Giants in Carolina, but we didn't want to give them credit because it's the Giants in Carolina. But then when you saw the performance against Philadelphia, it was actually a really good performance. All the bad calls. And then at the end, when they got gouged, that's kind of puts a damper on the whole thing. But overall, the defense actually played well. And then you follow up here, you know, the New England, and then here, now you're watching a defense that has really turned the corner in the last 5 weeks. And now fully healthy with your corners. Oh my God. But at the same time, yes, Mike McDaniel, you, sir, are correct. You're a better team, but now you got to carry your weight, which you're not. That's why I said yesterday, Mike McDaniel's underachieving because his defense played to win and his offense lost the game because it was his player that caused the fumble. It was his tight end that did not block. It's his tight end that constantly F's up blocks, by the way, Durham Smythe. Okay? Durham Smythe has now shown me that he's a okay blocker and an okay pass catcher, which makes him an okay tight end. That's not good enough. And let's stay consistent here like we like to stay on this show. Sean, just out of curiosity, Did I say Josh Boyer cost them a game last year? No, right? Did I not say that it was the offense and Mike McDaniel that was failing them at times? Wow. Let's stay consistent. Because Josh Boyer, as much as you killed him out there, he kept them in all the games. The Jet game, that one, there was nothing there. You lost your quarterback. It was over already at that point. You know, you were down at quarterback 3 on play 2. That was over. Forget it. But outside of that, all the games, he kept them in all the games. And the only 2 blowouts were Detroit and Baltimore, and they came back to win those games. But it was the offensive issues last year that also let the team down last year. It's in Buffalo where you can't get the play call in on time. It's abandoning the run game against Green Bay, against Buffalo last year. It's putting Braylon Sanders in a position that he shouldn't have been in last year. It's watching Trent Sherfield and Tyreek Hill drop touchdowns in one drive. Lots of shit went on last year, and it was mostly with the offense for the offensive genius. Okay? And guess what? We're back full circle again now, because now your defense is now playing at an elite level. And now I can say your defense is now going to do its job again and keep you in games. But can you win the game, coach? Okay. So what kind of game are you going to call? Game's on the line. Mostert is killing the Chiefs. You go away from him? Don't blame it on Fangio. Tyreek throws a perfect bomb. Tua throws a perfect bomb. Tyreek drops it. Don't blame it on Fangio. You're a better team. Yes, you are. You are a better team coming back from Germany. 100%. I believe that. But it's up to the coach now to be the difference maker. And he's not right now. So he needs to perform in these kind of games. So I agree with this statement. The Dolphins are a better team right now. There's no doubt about it. But can Mike McDaniel be a better game day coach? Because it's the reason why you didn't advance last year, because you weren't ready on third down. You didn't know what the hell was going on. That's unacceptable. You're the boss. So, this is the guy that won a challenge finally by incompetence. So I like Mike McDaniel, but he's got to do better. And your team is better. You got to do your part, buddy. Get it going. Let's see, Hunter Butter. Hear me out. Looking at these 2 losses to the elite teams we've played is better. We lost because it's better to know we aren't prepared as we should be instead of finding out in the playoffs. Well, what happened in the playoffs last year? They weren't prepared either. I just talked about it. What makes you think they're going to be? Dude, we thought last year he was going to learn to not abandon the running game, to not make mistakes, and he's still making mistakes. He's still abandoning the running game. So he hasn't learned from last year. You know what I'm saying? So why are we going to assume he needs to now in the second half? He needs to, great example. This is fantastic. I love it. Okay. So we needed McDaniel to use some common sense, be better prepared, get plays in on time, all that kind of stuff, correct? Has he improved? No, he hasn't. We needed Tua to throw the ball away, to slide, to avoid hits. What's Tua doing? Oh, that's right. So Tua learned. Tua learned his lesson, right? Tua throws the ball away all the time now, slides, bro. He threw it. This week, he threw one down to the floor, like, plays that here. Boom, I'm done, bro. I was like, I stood up, I clapped. Every time he slides, every time he throws the ball away, I am the happiest camper in the world, dude. I would imagine there's a lot of you. I got goosebumps. I shit you not. I got goosebumps. I shit you not. I celebrate every time he throws the damn ball away. Every time he slides. I'm like, dude, I love you, bro. Now you can play 15 years. Now you're not going to put yourself at risk. Because what did we do on the show, right? We walked through all his injuries, the ankles, the hip. It was 3.85 seconds to 5.1 second. All of his injuries, all of his concussions. He learned. What we were afraid, okay, is he going to be Mr. Warrior all the time? Well, then he's not going to last long. And he figured it out, bro. He's playing the Dan Marino game of football. Plays dead, boom, I'm done. And I'm cracking champagne bottles. I'm cutting parties. I'm inviting hookers and donkeys that do cocaine and everything. Every time he does that, that's a bachelor party for you guys out there. Anyway, so I am happy. Not happy about Mike McDaniel. He hasn't learned. He still can't get plays in on time. He still abandons the running game. He still does things that don't make any sense. You got to get better, bro. You got to get better. And, your defense has now arrived. Because if they can do what it did against Kansas City, I feel pretty good from here on out about the defense. But the offense, come on, man. Let's go. Let's get this straightened out already. Okay? What else do we have going on? Oh, let's before I get to a little more football stuff. Richie Sambora, by the way, they are approaching their 40th anniversary, and he says he wants to do a reunion with Bon Jovi. One, Bon Jovi can't sing anymore. But two, if you're going to do a tour, bro, you guys need to play all your old songs. Stop playing the crap from all those new albums that are terrible. Jesus Christ. Never understand that. Some of you out there, some of you artists out there, you got to understand what made you. That's why they're there to see you. They're not there to see your new album. Okay? Let's go with music history. Why don't we? November 7th in 1991, guitarist Izzy Stradlin quit Guns N' Roses because he objected to Axl Rose's behavior and he had trouble being around the rest of the band since he just got sober. Izzy was replaced by Gilby Clarke. I'm sorry. In 68 on this date, Jim Morrison and the Doors were banned from the city of Phoenix after he riled up an audience at their concert there. He was also charged with inciting a riot, but the charges were dropped. In 95, Alice in Chains released their self-titled album. It would be their last effort to feature the late singer Lane Staley. In 2006, Genesis members Phil Collins, Mike Rutherford, and Tony Banks announced that they were reforming for a tour. In 81, Ozzy Osbourne released his second solo album, Diary of a Madman. And by the way, not only was that released 42 years ago today, that was also the last album for the great Randy Rhoads. And let me tell you something, Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, it's like Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules for Black Sabbath. It's funny how both made changes. Ozzy left Black Sabbath. They replaced him with Ronnie James Dio. Ozzy went, found Randy Rhoads, and both Black Sabbath and Ozzy created 4 albums, Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman, Mob Rules, and Heaven and Hell, 4 of the greatest heavy metal albums of all time. Bar none. That's not up for discussion. It's not up for an argument, because if you don't tell me that those 4 albums are some of the best metal albums ever, then you don't really know heavy metal. I'm just going to put it that way. Okay. But that's the amazing part where people thought, Black Sabbath got torn apart, and here comes Dio, and my Lord, those 2 albums were magnificent. And Ozzy, he came up with great music after that, for many years with different guitars. But those first 2 albums, he never was able to match the magic of Randy Rhoads with Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, I got to say. Just to kind of add that. In 74, on this day, Ted Nugent won a national squirrel shooting contest after killing one of the animals from 150 yards away. In 75, Elton John had the #1 album on the Rock on the Resties. It topped the charts for 3 weeks. In 87, Bruce Springsteen topped the album charts with Tunnel of Love. In 81, Hall & Oates started a 2-week run at the #1 on the #1 spot on the singles charts with Private Eyes. They're watching you. In 2002, Guns N' Roses were set to start their North American tour in 9 years, but instead, 12 fans were arrested during a riot after a Vancouver gig was canceled because Axl Rose's flight from LA was delayed. Soon after, the whole tour would be canceled. That is what happened today in music history. Some birthdays today. Let's see. Lorde, my daughter likes her. She is 27. David Guetta, the DJ, is 56. Javonta Davis, the boxer, is 29. Adam Devine, the actor, is 40. Let's see. Coy Wire, TV show host, 45. Tinny Tempa is 35. Yeah, what's Written in the Stars? Yeah, baby. I like that song, actually, Written in the Stars from Tinny Tempa. Let's see. Rio Ferdinand, soccer player, is 45. Reese James, soccer player, 30. Joni Mitchell, folk singer, is 80. Let's see. SD rapper, I have no idea who the hell he is. He's 29, but I'll mention it just in case somebody knows who the hell he is. Those are some of the famous birthdays today. You know what I was laughing at was Lauryn Hill from the Fugees and obviously solo. So she was addressing her tardiness on stage, and it's hilarious, right? She was fighting back at the critics on Saturday night. She hit the stage later than she normally does, normally supposed to, at the Kia Forum in Los Angeles. So she was paying homage to her mother on stage for her birthday when she decided to respond to the negative feedback from those who criticize her for showing up late for her shows on multiple occasions. In her opinion, Hill believes fans are lucky she makes it on stage at all. She says, they say, oh, she's late. She's late tonight, Hill said during a speech. You all are lucky I make it to this blood clot stage every night. I leave my soul on this stage. And I don't do it because they let me do it. I do it because I stand here in the name of God, and I know it. God is who allows me to do it. He surrounded me with family and community when there's no support. When the album Miseducation of Lauryn Hill sold so many records and no one showed up and said, hey, would you like to make another one? We're survivors, not just survivors. We're thrivers. Lauren, I get it. You smoke a lot of weed and you're probably a fantastic space cadet. But what you just gave us was a load of bullshit. You're an irresponsible person, okay? You're a freaking joke. Just because you're supremely talented, let me tell you something, sweetheart. You're a monster underachiever, okay? You only came up with one album. You know, if you had some balls and guts, you probably would have made more music, but maybe you were afraid to fail, and that's why you didn't make it. So you left while you were ahead. And you constantly show up late, and these people are paying to see you perform. And they paid to see you at a certain time. They also have lives. Some of them have kids. Some of them had to get a sitter. Some of them had to do something in order to be there that night. The fact that you lack all professionalism, the fact that you make some stupid ass excuse makes no sense whatsoever. Maybe it does in your high ass mind. I get it. You got smoke between those ears. And that's probably all you got, sweetheart, is a bunch of smoke between your ears. But just because the Lord gave you the gifts doesn't mean you're not an asshole of major proportions, Lauryn Hill. So you might be talented. It might be fun to watch you live. I've seen you live. But the way you act and carry yourself is as unprofessional as it gets. And what you should do is apologize and learn to be a freaking professional. But that's why your career was so short, because you are unprofessional. So feed the bullshit to whoever you want, but I'm not buying it, sweetheart. You're nothing but a disaster that has a fantastic voice. That's it. That's all. You're a person that was gifted something beautiful and you didn't do enough with it. For whatever lazy ass reason your body has, your being has. But let's just get that shit straight. Okay? So go feed that bull crap to other people. Everybody shows up on time consistently because they're professionals. You're not. You don't have an ounce of professionalism. Anyway, Crazy Train is my favorite Ozzy song. Hell of a song. Oh, what do you think of the new Stones album? I haven't heard it, so I don't know. I heard the one song and I liked it. It was good. John Rouse says another first-year head coach starting to prove he's not the guy. Better than others we've had or better players. Might have the same results with other bad first-time coaches we've had. Are you first-time coach? You talk about McDaniel? I'm not ready to give up on McDaniel yet. Big O, I found the Jimmy Johnson drop on YouTube. We got a shot. We got a chance to be special. It's on the Neil Rogers show. Sean may have to do some work. QAM is mentioned. Okay. Over the Mountain. What a great song. The opening of that song with the drums. Love that, dude. Love that. Stephen Harris, good afternoon. Big O and Sean, hope all is well. Thank you, sir. Zuko is in. Don't hate me, but Metallica and Sabbath are meh. That's fine, dude. A lot of people are like that. You don't have to like heavy metal. That's normal, dude. It's fine. It's all good. I love Sabbath and I love Metallica. That's why we have taste, bro. You know what I mean? Some people like classical music and they swear by it and love it and it inspires them. Puts my ass to sleep most of the time. You know, what are we going to do? Some people like look at my man what's it called? NorCal, if he's listening, he loves screaming metal. I don't. You know, that's how it is, man. That's the beauty, bro. Some like chocolate, some like vanilla. But don't tell me you like strawberry over chocolate and vanilla. Josh Boyer had a decimated defense. That man had no fault last year, 0. Last year was mainly injuries. McDaniel not running the ball enough. Bad clock management, not on Boyer. Yeah, no, I know. Boyer had practically nobody left in that secondary. Let's see. Big O, you still rocking to the mighty yeah, bro, of course. Of course, when I get in the car. Pretenders never the same after James Honeyman Scott died. I can go with that. I mean, listen, they from that what's that album? The one with Don't Get Me Wrong. And that's pretty much like the end of their run, you know. It's the one with the white and the purple letters, and she's on there like a black and white picture. I can picture the album and everything. Just trying to remember, but yeah, since when Honeycomb was gone, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. What's the worst concert I've ever attended? God. Lionel Richie was one because he couldn't sing. White Snake because he couldn't sing anymore.
Walked out of both of those concerts. I got to think, bro. I've been to a lot of concerts, and there's been some stinkos. Usually, if I think the band is done or the singer, I want like don't go see Lionel Richie anymore. He doesn't sing his songs anymore. You know. Oh, Lauren Hill just explained why her homework was late. Dear teacher, I am here to feed people and their ego. Oh no, I am here for the Lord to feed my dog my homework. He ate it. Jazz puts me to sleep. There you go. See. Big O, can Lamb play left guard? Apparently not. Apparently they want him at tackle. So, and I think you keep training him and keep him at tackle and keep him fine-tuned at tackle instead of making him completely change up, and then he has to adjust if Armstead can't stay healthy, for bad luck or whatever. Keep this guy prepared and ready to go just in case. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's really, really important. By the way, you know what's also important? I see that you've got the Top Gun billboard out. Ladies, the streets are not safe. We have got classes now at Top Gun in English and in Spanish. Okay, so if you, and by the way, we've got archery classes too on top of all of that. When we talk about Top Gun indoor gun range, you got a family atmosphere. They've got the latest in indoor air quality. And when we talk about the targeting systems, they are as modern as it gets. Folks, they've got archery. They are the only indoor public archery facility in Dade County. We've got mini leagues and mini tournaments. We are going to hold a tournament here on our show. So get ready to join us at Top Gun. Bring your gun down. Let's go. Let's go have some fun. We're going to have some shooting contests. Their gun ranges, they've got 18 lanes, 25 yards, longest distance of an indoor range in Dade County. And again, self-defense classes. Guys, our wives, our girlfriends, we can't be with them all the time. And we've got to worry about this. And the streets aren't safe. We've got self-defense classes for women, basic pistol, concealed weapons courses, also available in Spanish. They've got tactical nights with competitions, with bowling pins and targets, all kinds of stuff. And they've got memberships there at Top Gun. The higher the discounts, the higher the membership, the better the discounts. You get gun cleaning. They even got unlimited shooting for some memberships, gun sales. And they've got a wide selection of handguns and rifles, all the major brands, Glock, 6 Hour, Smith & Wesson, easy to get to right off of the turnpike, man. Literally, where Odyssey Arcade is, it's right behind Odyssey Arcade in that whole shopping center there. So when you're done, you can go by and play a little arcade too if you want, or have a little hamburger there at the pit, I think it's called there. So it's a nice little shopping center. I go to that shopping center all the time because I love Odyssey Arcade, and I go to Top Gun behind there to obviously practice with my 9mm, my Smith & Wesson. So check it out. Top Gun, 305-306-7333. All right. By the way, Kyler Murray is set to start this week against the Falcons. They're 1-8, right? This is the most interesting situation in the NFL right now, because you're starting Murray now because he's finally healthy from the injury. Okay. But you're 1-8. Murray hasn't proven anything. He's lazy. You got all this whole turnover. The coach that coached him is not there anymore. But the interesting twist about all of this is, if Murray wants to survive, he needs to win. He needs to shine. He needs to be the player he has never been. Because if he's not, he's going to have a hard time finding a home next year. Somebody might pick him up as a backup, as a project, but nobody's going to give him a starting job ever again. Now, if he balls out, the team wins and they drop out of the quarterback race in the draft. But if he continues to lose and they only end up with one win or two, they're going to be right there in the mix for Caleb and for the North Carolina kid and any of the top quarterbacks coming out. So it's like a really interesting situation. If Kyler Murray can win enough, they might be forced to keep him because, hey, he won. He turned the corner. Okay, well, maybe we'll go. But if he continues to lose, he will then lose his job. He will get cut. Yeah, he'll get his chunk of money, but his future is going to be absolutely in doubt because he is a type of quarterback that not everybody can carry on their roster, and he doesn't fit every offense that you run also. So it's such an interesting dynamic. The kid can stop the team from actually getting Caleb Williams, or he could just contribute to what's been going on, that they're headed for Caleb Williams, and he's headed out the door with a fat check and no future at quarterback pretty much anywhere except maybe the CFL. I saw that story, and it was like, it's so interesting to see that that's what you're doing. When sports and business collide, folks, we like doing something called the KSDT CPA Sports Business Report. Back. There, we're back. All right. It's a beautiful thing for our KSDT CPA Sports Business Report. And use that QR code, folks. If you need to do your taxes, personal or business, please reach out to the people at KSDT CPAs. They do an amazing job. Dade, Broward, or Palm Beaches, anywhere in Florida, you can do your taxes. You can do all of that by the phone. They'll take care of you. Plus, we got an office in North Carolina. Wherever you're at, man, reach out to KSDT and tell them that Big O sent you. Netflix now is charging $2 million to advertise with live sports events. So they're now in the sports business, as you know, and they've got the Netflix Cup coming up. Okay, so according to Bloomberg, they'll be charging $2 million. Now, it's ad placement all over the place because it's not per se commercials, but it's still kind of ad placement already. And, Netflix, just like a lot of these other businesses like Amazon, they are now in the business of sports, and so they need to survive. And the other way to generate revenue is advertising. And I know that we've kind of, been watching Netflix for years, just straight up movies, and you pay a subscription fee, but it shows you how things are changing now. Because if you're going to have a football game on, they're going to go to commercial breaks. So you got to create commercial breaks, and look at what Amazon Prime has done, right? So this is the same thing. Netflix and all these other Apple, all of these kind of platforms, they are paying a lot of money for all these, sports entities. And why? Because everything traditional is dying. Traditional radio is practically dead. Traditional television is practically dead because we all go to platforms. That's how we watch everything. That's how you listen to your music. You don't really listen to an FM station much anymore, unless you listen to the Sham up there in Montreal, because there really isn't a rock station down here in South Florida, unless you want to just rock out on your own phone and your own iTunes. So things have changed. $2 million. I mean, that shows you now how the world has changed for us too, because you thought you were getting away from those commercials when you get to those platforms, but no. The good thing about that transition is that you came from watching the sports at ABC or ESPN. So if it's on Netflix or Amazon and they go to a commercial break, you're used to it already as it is. So it's already in there, and it's already subconsciously in here.
So they're not going to go to just a conversation for 60 seconds while they take a timeout. No, they're going to go to a commercial break. And what they do, you see on Amazon, right? And Netflix will do a lot of that since it's all product placement. They can then keep the course and keep the game going and then run the commercial on a separate box on the same screen. Amazon does a lot of that too, that they minimize the game, play the commercial, and then the game's in the background, and then when the commercial ends, boom, and then the timeout ends, and the play starts. So things changing, and these platforms by adding sports, you're also adding opportunities for revenue streams too at the same time. Saw BB King live during his older days, and man, he could still bring it. You're talking about one of the greatest ever in BB King, man. And I bet he wasn't late pretty much ever. I want the Patriots to lose all the games, but at the same time, I don't want to see Caleb Williams in the division if New England ends up with that number 1 pick. Yeah, Arizona should get it. I mean, I don't know how, even with Kyler Murray, they're not winning much. So, did the Cardinals cut Josh Rosen? Yeah. They cut him a while back, dude. Arizona went from playoff contender 2 years ago to complete crap show this year. Yes. The last time he faced the Atlanta Falcons, a rookie Kyler Murray had 372 yards with 3 touchdowns and a rating of 128. It's probably one of the few explosive games that he's had because he normally doesn't have many explosive games, to be quite honest. Let me check here, Cash App or Venmo. Remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show, Cash App or Venmo. And don't forget, I hope you're hitting that like button, please. Hit the hell out of that like button. It is very, very important. As for crypto, how we doing on the crypto scene? Looks like it's down right now. Well, it's been so green the last week or two. About Link is the only thing down just under $13 at 1.5%. But Bitcoin down 1/3%, barely under 35,000. It's at 34,849. Bitcoin has held strong, dude, while the stock market has gone to absolute crap. Today it's at 70. Today Dow is up 74 points. The S&P is up 13. NASDAQ is up 0.5 point. You got that going on, folks. I got the interrupters tonight, by the way. If you happen to be going to the Revolution Live tonight and you see me, please say hi. Would love to meet you, man. Okay. What else do we have? Van Halen had to be by far the worst show I ever saw. Kool and the Gang was amazing. Not sure why. Oh, yeah. I see what you see. The reason why I won't call that the worst show, I know what you're doing because David Lee Roth can't sing. But the reason why I don't call that because I went to see Eddie. So you and I had a different attitude in that concert. One, I didn't really care about Kool and the Gang. Whatever. I think Kool is left. Like there's nothing left. The bassist is left. That's it. Like nobody's original pretty much in Kool and the Gang except for Kool, I think, is the only one left. And as for Van Halen, the last couple times I went to see Van Halen, I never went to see David Lee Roth sing or perform. I didn't care about that because I knew he couldn't do it. I got tickets to the right side of the stage, and I wanted to just see Eddie. That's the only reason I went. That's it. Wolfie was playing bass, and I actually enjoy Wolfie by himself more than that. You know what I mean? But really, it's about seeing the Van Halen brothers. That's all it was for me the last couple of tours because I knew that Roth was toast. But I can't call it a bad concert because when I get to see Eddie Van Halen shred for an hour and a half, 2 hours, I won. I'm good. I got my money's worth. You know what I mean? I got to see a guitar god that is no longer with us. So for me, you and I are a little different on that one. It's kind of like the Heat game last night. I got the silly little Heat fans that get all excited. Oh, triple-double. Oh, they beat the Lakers. It's that. I didn't care about that because it's November. They're 3-4. What do I care about that? I was looking at Jaquez. I was looking at Duncan playing, efficient basketball. I was looking at Jimmy playing his best game. I thought Tyler and Bam were not efficient offensively. I was looking at some of the elements that I'm looking at for down the line. I didn't give a shit about the moment. A triple-double don't mean shit to me in November 6th. That's silliness. And so for me, you and I completely looked at that concert. I walked out of there happy as hell because I saw Eddie Van Halen shred for 2 hours. And that's all that I wanted to do. So for me, I would have paid double that I paid the price of that concert just to see Eddie Van Halen. Because that's like watching Jimi Hendrix. When you get to go see, Neil Peart, you get to go see Les Claypool, Steve Harris. When you get to go see somebody that is elite at what they do, and that's Eddie Van Halen, I will pay anything to see Eddie Van Halen. Rest in peace, Eddie. Rest in peace. I do have one. I don't have it here because I haven't set my damn thing up, but I do have a Funko Pop of EVH. Anyway, where those Heat fans that were saying the Heat were gonna regret taking Jaquez over Whitmore. Oh, because of the whole Cam Whitmore thing. First of all, it's way too early for any of that. But the Whitmore kid fell all the way to like 20, I think, in that draft. So a lot of people passed up on him because of, I guess, some attitude or something like that. I like Jaquez. I've never had a problem with the Jaquez pick. I saw, his stuff at UCLA, and I was impressed. Hear me out, Big O. Our only redemption will be beating our remaining schedule, becoming first or a second seed, then winning a playoff game or two. Prove it time for our Finns. Marcus, you're 1,000% right. Can't argue with that. Finn's rule says Van Halen guitar solo, amazing. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will go see him anytime. Nile Rodgers and Chic, Duran Duran. That was a great concert. Great concert. And let me tell you, that girl that Niles has with him, man, that woman can sing. Holy moly, that woman had a voice. Wow. And now Rodgers is, he's God. When it comes to creating music, he's one of the 5 greatest of all time. I don't know who you want to put in there of music creators, okay? But he's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I don't know. Maybe in my book, he's 1, 2, or 3. I don't know too many people in the history of music better than that guy. That guy's a god and a half, dude. When you talk about elite at what they do, making music, it don't get more elite than Nile Rodgers, bro. And then Duran Duran, Simon sounds impeccable, dude. The only thing I didn't like is that and again, it's not a real big complaint because I've seen the song several times. I've seen Duran Duran, 15, 20 times in my life. But they didn't sing The Chauffeur, which I've heard many times in the past, but it's my favorite song. And he can still sing it because The Chauffeur is not an easy song to sing. But Simon can still do The Chauffeur. What a song. What a freaking song. I love The Chauffeur. Did you know the Van Halen brothers are half Indonesian? I did not know that. Did not know that. I know that they're from Holland, right? But I did not know that their family had Indonesian. Didn't know that. That was pretty cool. That was the first time seeing him. Well, then you won. Good for you, man. Good for you. First time I saw Duran Duran was 7 in the Ragged Tigers, maybe. Was it right? I think in the Hollywood Sportatorium. Something like that. Loaded with women. And I gotta tell you,
that we went to that concert more for the women than the music in that day. Like, we liked Duran Duran. It was all right. In those like, I love Duran Duran now. But at that moment in time, Seven and the Ragged Tigers was out. Okay? I went to the concert, and I liked Duran Duran. It was all right. But me and the fellas went because we knew we were going to be about, I don't know, 10% of just males in the building. And that's the reason why we went. Because we knew it was going to be loaded with women, and brother, it was loaded with the ladies. Right on target. I mean, you couldn't have had more women at a concert than that Duran Duran Seven and the Ragged Tiger concert at the Hollywood Sports. Anybody that went to that concert, you know what I'm talking about. So that was just one of those things. And then the tailgating before, you're walking around trying to meet girls and get numbers and, you know, where you're going after and all that kind of stuff. It was fun, man. It was fun. It was fun. I think Lauryn Hill's attitude about her tardiness is what happens when you aren't humbled. Yes, McDaniel is young and needs his next evolution, but is not arrogant or obtuse. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, Lauryn Hill is as arrogant and ignorant as it gets. She thinks that, you know, it's okay for paying customers to wait a half hour, an hour, 2 hours that you're late to a concert. It's disgusting. Big O, did you ever see Kiss in their prime? The first time I saw Kiss was Creatures of the Night tour in West Palm Beach Auditorium. And that was 1982, something like that. So not the 70s Kiss. I did not see the 70s Kiss. So if you want to say that peak there, no. But from the Creatures of the Night on, I pretty much saw them every time they came. Pretty much, yeah. Every album after that. So that was my first one. I saw the reunion tour when they were all together back in 97, 99, 96. I forgot what year it was. That all comes together. You know what I mean? But Creatures of the Night was my first concert to see. And it was Wendy O. Williams from the Plasmatics was the opener. They hit her with the dildo right in her chest. We were right in the front row, man. We were right, not front row. We were up against the stage, and it was a tank, and they had fire coming out. Every other song, fire would come out, and sweat would just come down. It was awesome. I remember. I think Gene Simmons was it? Yeah, I think Gene Simmons gave me a pick. And it was funny watching somebody throw a dildo from the crowd and hit her right in the chest. And she didn't miss a beat, dude. She looked at it and she just kept screaming and playing because she was just a wild woman, man. Rest in peace. Not that I was a Wendy O. Williams fan, but yeah, she was a wild child, that's for sure. Victor Huertas, thank you for the love in the super chat. Big O Kyle from Good Morning Football said Tua is the AFC version of Dak. I mean, that will get things, stirred up. So that's good. It's good for him. You know, I get it, bro. Dak Prescott must have won a national championship in college. Came off the bench and won in clutch moments. Yeah, no, I know. It's because Dak has shown so many clutch moments. You know, like down 21 on the road in Baltimore last year. You know, it's all good, bro. You know, it's people like to, it's what you do on television and radio. You have to come up with something to stir it up so you can get clicks and views. So it's good shock stuff to get people going. It got you to send in a super chat and to ask about it, but it's the kind of silliness that goes on all the time. Last concert I saw was Manchester Orchestra in Buffalo. Amazing band. The Alive World Tour. Look at you, boss. Paul Stanley called Slash when he was 17 and interviewed him to join Kiss when Ace Frehley left. Wow, that would have been that's too much for him. I'm glad he didn't go. I'm glad, because he didn't need that. That would have been too much. He would have been restrained. Gene Simmons doesn't like a lot of guitar. He likes your solo and have a little, but he doesn't want you to be going crazy and flying all over and all that. They kind of like to keep their music a little bit more simpler. And I would have never gotten the real Slash that I got from Guns N' Roses, the one I get with Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators, and that kind of stuff. Slash's solo stuff that I have. I've gone to see him with his solo stuff. I am so blessed that my man Slash was able to not go to Kiss. I'm really glad, because you need your own identity in life, and you should be your own man, your own woman, your own person. And I don't think he would have been able to be his own person in Kiss. He would have had to do what Gene and Paul wants you to do. So, you know what? Like they say, everything happens for a reason. I'm glad that it happened this way, that he never ended up in Kiss. I didn't know that. I don't even know if it's true or not, Finn's rule, to be quite honest. But I'll take your word for it, and that would be my response to that. Just announced. Holy shit. Nice job. Queensryche at the Culture Room. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Todd does a really good job filling in for nobody's Jeff Tate. Nobody will ever be Jeff Tate, but he does a really good job. I like this version of Queensryche. I will go see them at especially the Culture Room, a place like I love going to the Culture Room for a concert. But just announced Queensryche Saturday, May 11th, by the way. Armored Saint will be opening up for Queensryche. That's actually not a bad opening act if you like Armored Saint. They're pretty well known. Big O, I remember correctly, you recently were at a concert with no AC. Sounds to me it should be one of your. Yeah, that was because of the environment. That was the worst environment I've ever been to, but the band was excellent, so I can't blame the band for that. You know what I mean? Been tempted to fly out to Denver to see Devo Chaka, especially when they perform at Red Rocks. Is it just Devo, or is that like a real band? Because I don't know who Devo Cheka is. But I'll tell you this, Eric. I don't know who Devo Cheka is, or if it's just Devo. If you're going to go to Red Rocks, I've been there twice. Here's my suggestion. Go when there's a band that is led by a real voice. Okay? Not somebody that's a half-ass singer and you love the band or whatever, but the guy's got Alice Cooper or something. I went to see Primus. Mastodon opened up, and Mastodon actually has great singers. They're like a heavy metal band, but with melodic voices, which is actually pretty cool. And so that was good in Red Rocks. But and I love Primus, and I love Les Claypool, and I he's the finest bassist in the world, and I get all of that. But then I went to see Greta Van Fleet 2 nights in a row at Red Rocks. And that's the experience you want, because the acoustics in Red Rocks is made for a singer, because it just sounds so beautiful. Only the Sphere in Las Vegas sounds better than Red Rocks. So my suggestion, if you ever are going to make the trip to Red Rocks, go see a band that you love, a performer that you love that has a voice, because the experience is so much better. So much better. That would be my suggestion. Okay? We thank Anthony Chang, Cameron Wolf, Manny Navarro, Safid Dean. We also thank all of you for tuning in and sending in a super chat. And if you listen to the show at any time, day or night, you can send in a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. As always, you can send a Bitcoin donation in, which, we love that Bitcoin donation stuff as always. We thank Sean Stanley, the man, the myth, the legend. That gets it done all the time. If you're headed out to Revolution Live tonight in Fort Lauderdale to see the Interrupters, please look out for me. We'll be out there. Say hi. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Same time, same place, same bat channel.